2020 Wild Card Series presented by Hankook Tire. From beautiful, sunny Southern California, 2 seasons on the brink, it's St. Louis and San Diego. A deciding Game 3 to figure out who moves on. What a thriller last night. The Padres got their offense going, let them eat indeed. Bat flips and long balls means we're playing a Game 3 tonight. It's the only spot that has yet to be filled among the division series. The winner of this one gets the Dodgers in Arlington, Texas. Welcome, everybody. What a night for baseball. Tom Hart, Jess Mendoza, and Rick Sutcliffe. Jess, you're joining us now fresh off of a Game 3. Everything just feels kind of different when the whole series is on the line.
Think about this, Tom. There are 8 series, 16 teams. Only 2 of those series have gone to a Game 3. I had the Oakland A's White Sox yesterday. It was epic. 17 pitchers used. I expect so much of the same in this winner-take-all Game 3.
And so what a season for both of these franchises. The winningest season in Padres franchise history and an unprecedented season for the St. Louis Cardinals, giving everything that they had to deal with. Somebody's got to go home tonight.
Yeah, Tom, just think about all that the Cardinals have been through. Think about how long the Padres have waited for this ball game. You know, only one of these teams can advance, and that's an absolute shame because they both deserve it.
The Padres are also waiting for their stars to show up, but boy, did they in the 6th inning last night.
Well, it's basically been the same group that got them to this point. Tatis right there made a 6-2 game, all of a sudden 6-5. Manny Machado said, "Let me help you, little brother." He tied the ball game up. Will Myers, with his first home run of the game, gave them a lead. Tatis says, "I'm not done. Here's a little bat flip for you." That energy came back into that dugout that manager Jay Stingler had talked about. They had all year long. They need it. They got it.
Boy, they were quiet Game 1. They were quiet for the first half of Game 2, but they were loud by the end of the game last night. All right, now there's the problem of pitching. The Padres' blueprint will be exposed as we get going in this one. They will have a bullpen day, but for the Cardinals, their plan is well known. They go with Jack Flaherty, and this was scheduled from the get-go and a huge advantage for St. Louis.
St. Louis fans have been waiting for this. In fact, Jack Flaherty has been one of the faces of this entire team for the last 2.5 years. And all he's done, especially since the All-Star break last year, has been pretty dominant. One of the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. You look at his rankings with ERA, opposing batting average, opposing OPS, the whip. He's young, he's dynamic. He wants to prove it on this stage and get his team to a division series.
It is the only game left in the wild card round. It is a winner-take-all Game 3. First pitch is next. The Wild Card Series is presented by Hankook Tire. Never halfway. St. Louis Cardinals remain the only representative of either Central Division. 7 teams from the Central in both the AL and NL made the postseason. 6 of them have gone home. This the deciding Game 3. Cardinals a 5 seed, Padres a 4. Each finished second in their respective divisions. Padres and Cardinals used a record number of pitchers yesterday, 17 to tie the postseason record, and San Diego has only 3 pitchers on their roster that haven't thrown in this series. We'll talk Craig Stammen in a moment. First, the Cardinals batting order led by Yadier Molina. He's played in 100 career postseason games, and last night he picked up his 100th career postseason hit. That's the 5th most all time. Their approach has been the story in this one. They were very patient Game 1. They were patient Game 2 after being aggressive in Game 1, and the Cardinals with 9 runs in the second game after 7 in game number 1. Jessica may be a little surprised that they've been so productive in the first 2 games of this series.
Well, they've had a great approach, a great game plan. Matt Carpenter talked pregame about coming after this Padres pitching staff, knowing that they have limited arms. They're going to be tired, and he said that we're going to come after them early, still staying patient, but wanting to get through these arms.
This was a planned bullpen day for the Padres today, and Craig Stammen will get the ball to start things off. He was a starter earlier in his career as a mid-20-year-old for the Nationals. Now he's 36, and he makes an appearance for the Padres to get this thing going. 24 appearances during the season, a 5.63 ERA. So what can we expect from him?
Well, Tom, I thought momentum was all about your next day starting pitcher. We waited all day to find out who that was going to be for these Padres, but I applaud the guy that they came up with. He's a veteran. He came over here 3 years ago. He's been outstanding. He's one of those guys that will take the ball in any role. He's been a closer. As you said, he's been a starter in the past, and like they told us today, Jay Singler said he'll be out there as long as we leave him because he wants the ball.
All hands on deck for these Padres. Jace Tingler said succinctly, everyone is available. I got a lot of arms ready to go for the first-year manager of the San Diego Padres. Played his college ball at the University of Missouri and a long time in the Rangers organization. The best single-season winning percentage in San Diego history this season, and a second-place finish to the Dodgers in the National League West. On the other side, the reigning National League Manager of the Year, Mike Shildt, 162 wins against 127 losses, and an unprecedented schedule that they dealt with this season after the fits and starts of dealing with COVID-19. 11 doubleheaders played by these Cardinals, and you can bet they were exhausted through the end of the regular season. 2 days off before the start of this season, this series, I should say, and they have looked re-energized. Colton Wong has hit in 9 consecutive games dating back to the regular season. He will lead off for St. Louis against Craig Stammen in the first pitch of this one. It's a fastball for a strike. James Hoy has the plate. Wong 2 for 10 in this series. Hit a 2-run home run yesterday after just 1 home run during the regular season. Of course, these teams didn't face each other during the regular season. Cardinals only faced teams from the AL and NL Central. But they have not lost to the Padres in the postseason in their history. That one fouled off of Wong's foot. It'll be 0-2 now. Don't let the cardboard cutouts fool you. The ballpark can get loud, especially when the Padres are batting. They crank up the fake crowd noise. And there's some folks in Petco in the respective suites and those hanging out off the balconies surrounding the ballpark.
Beautiful stadium.
Little dribbler out in front of the plate. Austin Nola pounces, and there's one down. Nola, part of the trade deadline deal that restructured this Padres roster, and he's been a mainstay behind the plate.
Tom, once we found out who the starting pitcher for the Padres was going to be, I made a phone call to their longtime pitching coach, Darren Balsley. Darren stepped aside this year. Larry Rothschild came in to step over, and I asked him about Craig Stammen, and he said, you're going to love everything about this guy. He came over after the 2016 season. He wasn't in the big leagues. His last 3 seasons with these Padres has been outstanding. Sinker, slider, curveball. And the biggest thing to me that Balsley was talking about, yeah, absolutely. Darren fixed his mechanics a lot like what he did with Jake Peavy and a lot of guys over the years. But what he talked about is that this is the type of guy that every team needs. This is like that Ben Zobrist utility guy where they'll do anything at any time. That's been Craig Stammen the last 3.5 years.
They're going to ask a lot of guys to contribute in that way today as Tommy Edman falls behind in the count 0-2. Two for 10 in the series for the switch hitting Edman. Had a single and scored a run in the first inning last night. Cardinals jumped out to a 4-0 lead after 2 innings, and the Padres came alive late thanks to Tatis, one of the best infield arms in baseball, and he takes care of Edman. Not sure there's anything Fernando Tatis can't do, Jess, especially with his improvement defensively this year.
Yeah, we've talked so much about what he can do with the bat, but really the defense has been his biggest goal coming into this season. Look at the backhand into that 5-6 hole off his front foot, and really just the ease, right? I mean, it looks like he's in his backyard. A perfect throw to Eric Hosmer over at first base.
2 up and 2 down, and now the Cardinals star Paul Goldschmidt. Maybe underappreciated nationally because he rarely talks about himself. He's not a me first guy, but this guy's shown up this series as he has since he put on that Cardinals uniform.
Well, we talked about it before game one. He, in a lot of ways, reminds me of the Hall of Famer Jeff Bagwell. And not talking about himself is, again, one of those things.
2 balls and no strikes to Paul Goldschmidt. Being a little bit more careful with him in this one than they were game one when Chris Paddock threw him a first pitch fastball that ended up 356 feet away from the plate. Got underneath it and popped it up. It'll be Manny Machado. In the sunlight? Nope, it'll be Tatis in the shade. They do everything together.
They teach you.
1, 2, 3 frame. Look like third base from here. No score. First inning, just a 10-pitch frame for Craig Stammen, and now Jack Flaherty on the mound. And we've got Pedro Gomez in the ballpark. Hey, Pedro, how's the weather?
It's blazing. It's very hot down here, by the way. You know what, though? Last night, the Padres showed you what they can do when they have that 1-2 combination of Tatis and Machado. I had a front office executive with the Padres tell me he is the drive, he's the passion, and he's the talent. He also said he's the ultimate person and teammate, and yet he is just one of the guys. There's nothing that he looks at himself above anyone else, and he finished it off with, can you say winner? Mitch Moreland, I asked him before the game today about, it was 6-2 in the 6th inning. They were down to their last 4 innings before they might be eliminated. And he said, I haven't felt this dugout be low since I've been here. It's happened so fast, and as usual, Tatis was the lightning bolt that started it all. He is just some kind of player, apparently. Yeah,
once that boulder started rolling down the hill, there was no stopping it. Jack Flaherty misses with his first pitch to Trent Grisham, who's hitless in this series. 0 for 5, but he's drawn 3 walks. 24-year-old Flaherty making another postseason start. He was a winner in an elimination game against the Braves last year. 4-3 with a 4.91 in the regular season. He made 9 starts, 49 strikeouts against 16 walks.
Yeah, and he's proud of that fastball, and he has every right to be. Just talked about the numbers he's put up since the All-Star break last year.
Back to that fastball at 95 that just missed, and a wipeout slider.
I love how he just looks like he's playing catch, though. And then you look at the radar gun, and you see those mid to upper 90 numbers.
Broken bat dribbler Goldschmidt. 1 down. And if you weren't aware of these San Diego Padres, this is the guy you should know. It's Fernando Tatis Jr. And the Cardinals fans learned all about him last night. That's a home run that got him going. A bat flip for the ages. A 3-run shot in the 6th. He did it again with an opposite field bomb in the 7th.
Is such a dynamic player, and we showed on defense, which I'm actually glad that we were able to highlight him defense first, because that was such his goal coming in. But he is dynamic in everything he does, on the base pass, with the bat, with the flips, with the smile. You'll see him dancing in the dugout. There isn't anything about him that he does less than 100%.
21-year-old, a breakout star. Last year's season cut short after just 84 games. He still finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year balloting. Second in the National League with 17 home runs in the regular season. Top 5 in home runs, RBI, and stolen bases. 11 bags for Tatis.
Just as you talked about him wanting to improve with his defense, it reminded me of something that Mike Scioscia and his coaching staff told me about Mike Trout years ago. Mike Trout, as we take a look at this ball down below the zone, you could hear the Padres dugout hollering about that. But Mike Trout comes to spring training every year, and he gathers the coaches and he says, okay, what do I need to improve at to get better? And he works at that, and he creates that improvement.
That one was just off the plate inside, 2-2. Well, that worked for Tatis. Took him from 135th in outs above average last year to just 6 outs above average, tied for first. Pardon me, 135th out of 139 last year, and then tied for first this season. 3-2. And the impact that Tatis has on Machado and vice versa is a very real thing. And it was very real last night when they went back-to-back. First time for Padres to do it in the postseason since Tony Gwynn and Greg Vaughn in Game 1 of the '98 World Series against the Yankees. One out,
what a great at bat. And here I like it because he gets a strike called, as Seth pointed out. It was below the zone. He didn't like it. That was strike 2. So what does Flaherty do? He opens up that lower part of the zone to try to get him to chase, to protect with 2 strikes. And he says, I'm not going to bite. I want to make this umpire call a ball again before I swing at a pitch that's not in the strike zone.
Manny Machado with a home run, 2 for 10 this series, a .304 average with 16 home runs in the regular season. 4th in the league in hits, 10th in on-base percentage. Here's what he did last night following Tatis.
I got to tell you, too, when I saw this, and I got home last night and I thought about it and I saw the replays, I don't know why, but I flashed back to when Ken Griffey Jr. went deep right after Ken Griffey Sr. had gone deep. And I know Manny's not that much older than Fernando is, but the respect that they have for each other and how Tatis has talked about looking up to Manny, it just made me think of that moment.
Would you buy Big Brother, Little Brother? Is that a better fit than Father Son?
Probably for Manny.
No doubt.
I'm going to hear about it the next time I see Manny, too.
He did hit into 9 double plays this season, tied for 3rd most in the National League. It looks at a strike, 2-1. Flaherty's fastball, which he throws 56% of the time, averages 94. And he seems to be a little bit geeked up, the adrenaline carrying it here in the first inning tonight. Sinker in there for a strike, 2-2.
Jess, it looks like Tatis is getting about a foot off with each pitch that Flaherty has thrown. We know that Yadier Molina shuts down most of the opponent's running games, but this is looking like a moment he might be trying to guess on some spin and off-speed pitch to try to steal it back.
We haven't seen many of them in the postseasons. There have been 2 by the Padres in this series. Cronenworth, Tommy Pham. But Tatis would love to get one on the great Yadier Molina.
And one of those was a ball that Edman dropped at 3rd that they originally ruled an error, then changed back, fouled back, stay 2-2. So what can we expect from Flaherty in this one?
The one thing he hasn't done yet is elevate that fastball. I think the key is that he's, was able to get in to get that first out on Grisham. He tried to find the inside corner with Tatis. He couldn't do that. I think the fact that he's gotten in there on Machado, Manny was late on that last heater. I think now you try to elevate it on the inside part of the plate, knowing how aggressive Manny Machado can be.
Well, set to Tatis and Machado, everything has been down in the zone.
9-time Gold Glover behind the plate. There's a breaking ball, and he takes care of Machado. Boy, as a pitcher, Sut, this must feel like a huge relief. You navigate through that with Tatis on.
Yeah, it really does. You know, he did a nice job of holding him close. He threw over a couple of times. And that's just, I mean, there's not much you can do right there. That pitch coming out of his arm, it's the same window of his fastball. Looks like it's going to be a strike for the longest time, but then enough movement to get it completely away from that swing. And I think about something that Freddie Freeman told me last year in the division series when the Braves were up against the Cardinals with Flaherty on the mound. He said it's a different arm angle than most of the power pitchers that you face. It creates a little different release point that's hard to adjust to. That arm slot of Flaherty, for a big guy like that, he's not an over-the-top guy. It's a lower arm slot than with most other guys his height.
Eric Hosmer at the plate. Another throw to keep Tatis near the bag. He's crawling back.
And Sut, to your point, I mean, the thing with Jack Flaherty, he gets a ton of swing and miss, but if you look actually at all of his pitches, it's not like they're high spin or they have, I mean, his slider's a great pitch. But you're right with the deception. When you talk to hitters, what is it about Jack Flaherty? They say it's hard to pick up.
Runner goes. No, he didn't. Molina's back throw is not in time. Tatis fun and games with Yadier Molina. But I thought spin rate was the end-all be-all. How can he be such a great pitcher if he doesn't have elite spin rate?
Talk
you
velocity,
got elite command.
spin, and deception. And that's why you see so many guys be able, if they don't have the velocity and the spin, they figure out what to do with their arm slots. That's why guys will come more submarine, do all kinds of different things to get that deception part if you don't have the other two.
To Goldschmidt, and he will step on the bag to end the inning. Very patient frame from Flaherty. He'll walk to Tatis, but he's left stranded. No score in this winner-take-all Game 3. We don't use the word unprecedented very often and truly mean it, but the Cardinals season was unprecedented. Their season suspended for 16 days and 14 games postponed due to COVID-19, and then they had to rush to make them up. 53 games in a 44-day span. How'd they turn out? Well, their offense was okay. They got on base but didn't slug much. The starters were fantastic. 9th in Major League Baseball in ERA. And in the final day, not only did they clinch a playoff spot, but they avoided an extension of their season, which would have sent them to Detroit for at least one, if not two games on Monday. The reward? 2 days off in San Diego, and they are rejuvenated. They have more energy, and Mike Shildt said, yeah, there is no coincidence that we've come out swinging a bat in a big way in these 2 games. 16 runs on 23 hits. And this young cleanup hitter, Dylan Carlson, a big part of it. A fantastic eye at the strike zone for a guy who's one of 6 different cleanup hitters the Cardinals have used this season, Sut.
I like how he forces you to throw him a strike. I mean, he has done that in both of these games. He has spit on that breaking ball down below, his recognition of the strike zone. And what about his swing, Jess? I mean, it looks like he's got terrific balance in there from the left side. I haven't seen enough of the right side yet.
Just how free he is, and you can tell a difference before when he was called up and how much he was trying. Mike Shildt talked about that. When you want something, you're young, you know what you're capable of, and now he's just so much more free. Look at it, his stance, his body, the position he gets himself into. It's easy.
2 hits in the first game of this wild card series. And while he didn't have a hit last night, he's been getting on base. 4 walks and a hit by pitch. Filling in a spot in the 4-hole for St. Louis. It has been abysmal this year. A sub-200 average and 380 slugging behind Paul Goldschmidt. Stammen held the Cardinals scoreless in the first inning. First time this series, done by a reliever of all things. And a little flare for Carlson, drops in right. Leadoff man on for Yadier Molina, and a big change for the Cardinals' offensive production after those 2 days off and more strength. Mike Shildt said, I saw it in batting practice the first day. balls that weren't carrying, all of a sudden were. And I said, whoa, boy. 8 runs a game in the first 2 of this series, and a home run way more often than they had before.
Well, Tom, we say, okay, 16 days, 14 games. I mean, most of the time they were in a hotel room in Milwaukee. They weren't able to leave. They couldn't train. They couldn't do the things they were used to. And then playing that amount of games, 53 in 44 days. I mean, Sut, you know this. What it does to your body, they didn't want to complain. But yes, having 2 days off after everything that they went through, you could see the difference in these last 2 games.
Well, let me ask you this, as an everyday player, okay? Would you rather have played all of those games, or would you have rather just set for 17 days not playing games? Which would have been tougher on you?
If you knew that you were going to get to the postseason like they are, and as long as you get the days off, I mean, I think you do it. But you do whatever you have to do. But they barely got in. Percentage of double headers. I mean, the most all-time behind the 1961 White Sox.
And despite all that, nobody caught more games in the National League this season than Yadier Molina. Nobody caught more innings than Molina did. And he sends his fly ball to center field. Grisham onto the track. Sun can be tough in center and right. Carlson's looking to move. Nobody's at the bag, and he steals 90 feet from an inattentive Padres defense.
Well, he's watching Grisham all the way. I mean, and by the way, you never see someone tag from first base and go to second. The rule of thumb is it's always got to be behind you for you to even think about tagging, meaning foul territory out in right field. But Carlson's so smart, not even a ton of speed, but watch him, just watch Grisham. He's watching him kind of coast to this ball, make sure he catches it, does not get behind him. And because he can see everything in front of him, he gets the bag easily.
And that'll bring Paul DeYoung up with a runner in scoring position and 1 down. Pedro Gomez, what do you got?
The angle I have right behind the dugout of the Padres, you could see that when Grisham let go of the ball was sailing. Because Carlson kind of was going a little bit just to look, and all of a sudden he could tell that ball was sailing high, and that's when he kicked in that extra gear. I saw it perfectly from my vantage point. Like I said, about 15 rows right above the Padre dugout.
All right, thanks, Pedro. Here's the 0-1 to DeYoung. And Stammen throws it in the dirt a foot short.
That block right there on the part of Austin Nola reminds you of what Yadier Molina has done for a long time. I mean, you could tell that at one time he played shortstop because he picked that ball even with the mask on and a catcher's mitt, not an actual shortstop infield glove. He just made it look like it was no big deal.
Came up as a middle infielder, years and years toiling in the minors after a great college career, and then finally changed up and moved behind the plate. Grisham, 2 down. Chase Tingler is the Padres manager. He wouldn't share with us his bullpen blueprint for this game. Can't blame him on that. Craig Stammen getting the start, and Tingler ready to go to the pen where Tim Hill has been getting up. Hill is one of only 3 Padres pitchers who has not seen action yet in this 3-game series. And the revolving door will swing for the first time for the Padres. Stammen did what was asked. He gets 5 outs, and he leaves with a runner on as Hill enters for San Diego. T-Mobile is your ticket to the game. Let's dig into tonight's key game insights for the fans at home. Second game of the series, 17 pitchers used combined that tied a major league record for a 9-inning game. And look at the percentage of pitches from the relievers. Sut, that bullpen has been busy. The Padres pen will be busy again tonight.
Really, Tom, when you think back on it, I mean, it's been that way the last 4 or 5 years. Not to that extreme right there, but that's kind of been the trend where more and more teams need deeper and more quality down there in that pen.
Matt Carpenter at the plate. Tim Hill making his first appearance for San Diego. Came over from the Royals mid-July. 23 appearances on the season. Had a scoreless streak of 9 1/3 innings out of the Padres bullpen.
Just wondering right now, with that great observation by Pedro on that throw from Trent Grisham, just wondering how bad he's hoping right now that Matt Carpenter doesn't get a base hit here that cost him a run because of that 90 feet that he gave away on that throw.
So Carlson at second with 2 down as Carpenter tries to take advantage of it. Carpenter had a double in his first plate appearance last night. The side armor gives up a ground ball to the right side, covers the bag, and that'll do it. So no harm, no foul. No runs, a hit, 1 left. We go to the second. No score here in San Diego.
John Brickley in the studio. Time for tonight's Wild Card Roundup, brought to you by Coors Light. The magical run continues for the Marlins, advancing to the divisional round following a sweep of the Cubs, 2-0, highlighted by Garrett Cooper's 7th-inning home run off of Yu Darvish. Miami becomes the first team to win a playoff series the season after losing 100 games. They will face the Braves next week, Tom, in the divisional series.
What an amazing run for the Marlins squad. Jack Flaherty on the mound for his 2nd inning of work. No score between the Cardinals and Padres. They'll face Tommy Pham, Mitch Moreland, and Will Myers here in the second.
Tommy Pham was the guy, Jess, that we were worried about. We didn't know after a swing that he took last night late in the game if he would be able to be in the lineup for these Padres.
Yeah, that hand injury to the hamate bone. Chase Tingler talked to us pregame about it hitting that nerve, the knob of his bat on the swing. And he said that that's happened a few times. You see that bottom hand. Had to take him about 20-30 seconds just to kind of get feeling back, which made me nervous because I'm like, if you can't feel that bottom hand. Obviously it came back. He had a big 4-hit day yesterday.
I wonder if he's tried that axe handle bat that a lot of players are using these days.
Relieve some of the pressure on it. Whatever he's doing, it's worked since he came back from the hamate injury. Over the 10 games since he's returned, he's hitting .333. In the last 2 postseasons, highest batting average for anybody at .441 with a minimum of 30 at-bats. Flaherty paints the edge, 2-2.
I'm sure a lot of fans in St. Louis probably mixed emotions. I mean, they're happy to see Tommy Pham doing well. Of course, not against their own team, but someone that was loved with the Cardinals when he was there.
Yadier Molina there trying to expand that outside corner. Tom, you mentioned James Hoy behind home plate. I got him down from the times I've seen him back there. He's one of the best in the game.
Masked up behind the plate, swing and a miss. So Flaherty, one of, well, 2 or 3 of his high school teammates pitching in the postseason. You probably know this story. Lucas Giolito, Max Fried, also on that same Harvard Westlake High School team. I can't imagine they ever lost a game. And Flaherty's got some producing to do to keep pace with those guys in the postseason, Jess.
Oh, absolutely. Lucas Giolito, game 1. We had that. He had a perfect game through 6 innings. Came out in the 8th, ended up giving up a hit there in the 7th. Max Fried also throwing game 1. No runs, 5 Ks. And it's funny, Jack Flaherty's mom, you know, being a fan of all 3, kind of almost like they were her own sons, all of them going to high school. So she followed Lucas Giolito's no-hitter earlier this year and posted on Twitter she was going crazy and screaming. Was so pumped. Jack talked about it.
Can we get Eileen some more Twitter followers as Mitch Moreland, the veteran, comes up with a 1-out single? There is nowhere to rest in this Padres batting order. The Cardinals, in comparison, don't have a single hitter with double-digit home runs. The Padres have a ton of them, including Moreland and Myers back-to-back in the bottom half of the lineup.
I kind of think about all of the holes that over the winter general manager A.J. Preller had to fill. the trades that he made with Milwaukee, the trade that he made with Tampa, then all of a sudden realizing, hey, we've got a chance to be good with the expanded postseason schedule and teams. You know, we need to get a little bit better. We got a shot at going deep in this thing. He goes and gets Castro, then he gets Nola. Oh, we need a number one pitcher. Let's try to make a deal with Cleveland for Clevenger. You know they want to get rid of him. All of a sudden, you got to help that bullpen. Kirby Yates went down. Pomeranz was out for a little while. He added Pagan over the winter, and, of course, eventually Rosenthal.
And it must have been a pleasing sight to the veteran Will Myers, the longest tenured Padre, former Rookie of the Year and an All-Star with the Royals. He said when he was first with this club, he'd look around and half the dudes in the clubhouse were Rule 5 players. Now he's surrounded by stars, and he joined the company of stars with his home run last night. Well, 2 home runs, really. He and Tatis both go a yard twice in the same game. That hadn't been done since a couple of guys by the name of Ruth and Gehrig did it 88 years to the day. That was in the World Series for the Yankees against the Cubs.
Oh, and that first one, it was a line drive. Yeah. I think it left the stadium set when he was still in the batter's box. I mean, you saw him just sit there and watch it.
I don't blame him for that, but the one that impressed me was that one, the second one to dead center. I mean, late at night in Southern California, when all of a sudden the air gets heavier, that ball just doesn't carry in that direction that far very often.
Moreland the runner at first with 1 down. No score, bottom of the second inning. Chase Tingler had nothing but great things to say about Will Myers and his approach when we talked to him before the game today. A guy that knows his strengths and is disciplined enough to stick to them. And one of those is his on-base percentage, and he works a 1-out walk from Flaherty.
I like, too, how he said that Will Myers told the coaching staff to keep him accountable. Okay, here's the areas I got to get better in. I've got to find a balance between slugging percentage and contact. And you just saw one of those collective team at-bats right there from Will Myers.
Huge opportunity for the LSU product, Austin Nola. Came over from the Mariners midseason, looks at a first pitch strike. He has started every game behind the plate of this series for San Diego.
There's a lot of unsung players in this lineup. Deservedly so, probably, because when you have Fernando Tatis Jr. and Eric Hosmer, Manny Machado, there's so many names. But I'll tell you what, Austin Nola, the at-bats he showed me yesterday, those 3 walks, yeah, they're not home runs, and now the exit velocity, all the sexy stats. But Austin Nola getting rallies going, being a team player, being in this 8th spot, and working, grinding those at-bats to get those walks. Those are the at-bats that need to complement the home runs, because otherwise it's just solo shots. You need the runners on base, you need the table setters, and Austin Nola was a perfect one yesterday.
Yeah, that first walk in the 6th inning is what allowed the lineup to turn over to get to Tatis and Machado for those back-to-back home runs.
You can see what Jack Flaherty's trying to do here. He's normally 97 with that 4-seam fastball. Those first 3 pitches have all been 2-seamers with that late sinking action. He's trying to get that ground ball right now to get out of here without any damage.
Cardinals, one of the best defensive teams in baseball. And Nola ignores that one, 2-2. Sut, in the end, is this game going to be high scoring or low scoring?
I think it's going to be low scoring. I really do. I think in a game like this with this kind of importance, people are going to put aside whether they pitched in both of the first 2 games, back-to-back days and all of that. I just think we've seen so much offense. I think they're tired of running the bases.
Right down central at 94. Woo! And Nola goes down looking. Huge K for Flaherty.
That's the first time that he saw the 4-seam fastball. There's no sinking action to that. He thought that ball was going to run down below the zone. He thought if he did anything with it, all he could do is hit it on the ground. He didn't want to do that. He got fooled because of the different rotation on that fastball.
And really almost a mistake from Jack Flaherty. I mean, he wanted the four seam. I'm sure he probably wanted it a different location than middle. But sometimes it's the ones that fool even yourself. It fools the hitter. That's a hard take, though. 2 strikes right down the middle of the plate.
I agree with you. I don't think it was a location, but I think Flaherty wanted to make something happen. He didn't want to go 3-2.
9-hole hitter Jake Cronenworth looks at a first pitch strike. 26-year-old. 7th round pick of the Rays in 2015 out of the University of Michigan. 2 for 4 this series.
He's a winner. He just does things that help you win ball games. Yeah, he had some trouble running the bases in that first game, something that probably will never ever happen again, maybe never happened in his career, but this guy is a winning player.
Got jammed on this one, charging it short DeYoung, and he drops the baseball. Everybody's safe with Moreland advancing to third and Myers filling him in at second.
You feel like you're off to a good start when you're able to pick up a base hit on something like this. I mean, that bat's gone. That ball didn't have any carry at all. You see DeYoung coming back there. He had to come get it, and then it had so much spin on it. It looks like it starts to come up, and it kicks off towards his right side. Luckily, he was able to knock that down, or the Padres might have been able to pick up a run there.
I think he expected it to die more. I mean, that thing was dead off the bat, but then took a big hop.
So here's a huge at bat for Trent Grisham. Bases loaded, 2 down with Tatis on deck. In for a strike. We've seen the slider and we've seen the curveball. He'll go with both of them.
Yeah, Tom, and the one guy in the Padre lineup that has seen a lot of Jack Flaherty is Grisham. He's 4 for 6 coming into the ball game tonight. And you go back and look at the last couple of years, the team that has given Jack Flaherty the most problems has been where Trent Grisham came from, the Milwaukee Brewers. They've got something on Jack Flaherty that nobody else has.
Missed inside. Padres don't miss with the bases loaded very often. You heard Don Orsillo call him Slam Diego, one of the best nicknames, and for good reason. They set a major league record for consecutive games with grand slams. 7 in the first 60 games, also ties a major league record.
4 in 4 days. They hit 5 in 6 days.
Upstairs. Flaherty has already tied his personal postseason high for walks with 2.
I think you're at that moment right now, like you were with Osanola, where you got to make something happen. You don't want to go to a 3-ball count. For me, you got to be thinking down, but you got to be thinking about a strike. And this is where that combination of speed with Grisham at the top of the order and power could hurt you again.
96, and Molina is a little banged up. Somehow he got jammed. Now the second and final road trip of the season, the Cardinals were in Milwaukee, and Molina got hit a couple of times on his left hand, on his glove hand, including a catcher's interference at one point. Mike Schilt has incredible respect for Yadier Molina.
Did he get hit on the swing, on the follow through from Grisham there?
I didn't catch it.
Grisham lost his helmet and bat. I mean, it was a huge hack he took.
Takes another big one. Take a look at this. It was a total yard sale by Grisham.
That fastball up in the zone, maybe just out of the zone.
As the helmet.
That's what happened. Yeah, the helmet hit Yachty in the finger, and as he went to throw that baseball back, he only got it like halfway.
9-time All-Star, 9-time Gold Glove winner. Bases full of Padres. Grisham punched out on a fastball off the plate inside. Jack Flaherty with an inconsistent second, but he came up with a couple of huge strikeouts, and there's still no score through 2. Big strikeout to end that inning. You basically have an ace going in game 3. What kind of confidence does that give this team?
Yeah, a lot of confidence. I mean, Jack's one of our guys and has been the guy for us going back to last year where he dominated. So always good to have Jack out there. You know he's going to compete. Stuff looks good. Made a big pitch in the inning.
Well, Mike, coming into this game, you knew you were going to see a lot from the bullpen from the Padres. What's a plan offensively coming into a game knowing you're going to see so many pitchers?
Yeah, you know what? We've seen their bullpen the last couple of days quite a bit. They're fairly familiar with us, even though we didn't play them during the regular season. But, you know, we got bullet points. We got a good approach for all of them. It's just a matter of executing it.
Mike, thanks for your time.
All right, appreciate it.
Cardinals manager Mike Shildt, no score here in the third inning. Dexter Fowler to lead off for St. Louis. Tim Hill on the mound for San Diego. We'll see a rotation of relievers for the Padres. 3 hits this series for Fowler. Pardon me, 4 hits, 4 for Tim with a couple driven in. Fowler missed significant time late in the season. He's been dealing with some health issues, and after going through the COVID scare with St. Louis and being stuck in a Milwaukee hotel, then late in the year he was stuck at home on the couch trying to get his medication right for a digestive issue, and he basically couldn't work out at all for over a week. 3-1 now. Fouled off and the count goes full.
Dexter was so good back in 2015 and 16 when he was with those Chicago Cubs. Hit that home run to lead off Game 7 of that World Series. His on-base percentage that year in that leadoff spot was just under 400. He's not been able to duplicate that, though, in this Cardinal uniform.
Swing and a miss for Fowler. The Padres in this position with a bullpen day because they lost their 2 best pitchers in the final series of the regular season, Mike Clevinger and Dinelson Lamet. Clevinger came over from the Indians August 31st. He was sensational. Lamet had the 5th best ERA in Major League Baseball. Pedro Gomez. Now both of those guys are forced to watch.
And Lamet is actually part of about half a dozen to 10 Padres taxi squad guys sitting not far behind me. He just went down the concourse. I was able to kind of yell at him and asked him how his elbow is doing. And he responded, "Está mejor," which means it's better. Now, how better it could be by Monday, who knows? But the Padres are being very aggressive with their trainers in trying to get him back for a potential series should they start Monday in the state of Texas.
And what would your expectations for Clevinger be?
Clevinger, I've heard 2 different stories. I've heard he's doing better, but then I've heard he's not going to be ready. That's a tougher one. I did text with him a couple of days ago, and Clevinger said he's very frustrated because he felt like he was getting so close. He played catch on Monday, but then when he threw a bullpen on Tuesday, it went the wrong direction.
About a 23-pitch bullpen session by Clevinger, and both starters out for this wild card series. And if they advance, the future remains to be seen. Harrison Bader at the plate for St. Louis. What a big bounce back performance by Bader in last night's game. He had a single and an RBI in his first at bat. Why was that such a big deal? We went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts in Game 1. And Bader will take it on with 1 down. Now playing on ESPN tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern. Number 4 Georgia plays host to number 7 Auburn between the hedges, followed by our UFC Fight Night main card from Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. Sunday it's Game 3 of the NBA Finals between the Heat and the Lakers at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ABC. And our Monday Night Football matchup has Aaron Rodgers and the 3-0 Packers hosting the Falcons at Lambeau Field. It's all now playing on ESPN and the ESPN app. Colton Wong 0 for 1 with a ground out to the right side.
This might be the last hitter that Jace Tingler lets Tim Hill face. Colton Wong strictly from the left side. Tommy Edman in that on deck circle is a switch hitter, but has put up much better numbers from the right side this year than he has left.
Padres have Pierce Johnson ready to go.
And you know that right after Tommy Edman is Paul Goldschmidt.
Hill looks to second, fires wide. They get the out at second, but no double play, and Harrison Bader says check the tape.
How did Tatis even catch this? I mean, you had Bader sliding into him. A wide throw, which is, I think, why Bader wants them to check. Trying to stay on the bag, he does.
6'3" and a wingspan, and Tatis was able to stay anchored with Bader coming in.
Nothing screams
that's not
youth.
only
I was going to say nothing screams youth to me more than the agility of Fernando Tatis Jr. on this play. Not only making it, but then landing like that.
I mean, there's a lot of times, as you know, Jess, where guys don't even get to that ball. That ball gets through. The next thing you know, you're going to see Bader down on third base, and it could lead to a big inning. Maybe not now.
Padres will make a change. Hill out, Johnson in. Back in a moment. Third straight day that Pierce Johnson has taken the mound for San Diego. 24 pitches combined in the first two appearances.
He's been outstanding. That velocity 95 to 97, and one of the best hooks coming out of any bullpen.
Tommy Edman looks at a pitch for a strike, and the count goes to 1-1. Reverse splits for Johnson, the right-hander. Lefties in the regular season, just 2 for 23 against him. Another quick one over to first. Stubby Clapp with the stopwatch in hand.
I think a lot of that has to do, and I go back a long ways with Pierce Johnson, he doesn't have the ability to pitch into a right-handed hitter like he does the left-handed hitter.
How does his repertoire dictate that?
Well, he's going to throw that curveball in any situation. I mean, he'll throw it 3-0, 3-1, and 3-2. He's got that much confidence in getting it over. I don't know I don't know what it is about the inside corner to a right-handed hitter. He'll bust that four-seam fastball in on a left-hander pretty consistently there. But that was kind of the one thing that kept him from being in the starting rotation at the big league level, was right-handed hitters doing better than they should have.
He doesn't throw the four-seamer very often, less than 3%. Mainly the curveball and the sinker. Look at the numbers, righties versus lefties. And oh, by the way, Paul Goldschmidt waits on deck.
Which tells you right now that by design, any reliever is going to try to throw a strike to Tommy Edman, and if it's your strength, it's going to be that curveball for Johnson.
Missed inside. I would imagine as Jace Tingler tried to put this pitching plan together with his coaching staff, there were a couple times where they said, well, this might be a roll of the dice, because if Pierce Johnson has to face Paul Goldschmidt, it may not be the matchup that they want, but one that they have to deal with given their arm situation.
I would imagine he had a lot of his coaches sit down there and plan out if you were me, how would you get 27 outs today? That's why it took so long to figure out who the starter was.
Curveball hit up the middle. That will get off of Tatis's glove. And Wong will end up at third. So runners at the corners. Goldschmidt coming up. Pedro.
Texting with Goldschmidt yesterday, and he said this is his 20th postseason game. He said, even though there's no fans here, it is still so intense. I'm having a blast. And Rick, you were talking about comparing him to the Hall of Famer Jeff Bagwell. I had former Pirates manager Clint Hurdle once tell me that guy pointing at Goldschmidt is Al Kaline. He is never a look at me guy. And at the end of the season, you look, and he's just put up incredible numbers, very consistent. And it is true, Goldschmidt has Kaline on the power numbers, but very, very similar type players.
He's at the plate with runners at the corners, and a first pitch breaking ball in to Paul Goldschmidt, who was 2 for 2 in his career against Pierce Johnson with a home run. Yeah, tiny sample size, but still probably not a matchup the Padres wanted to be facing with 2 on.
Tommy, I like after game 1 when we interviewed Goldschmidt, we knew not to ask him about himself.
Team first guy.
He's also so difficult when you think about it, the vantage point. Sut's in this vantage point of a pitcher because he can legitimately hit anything because of that simple swing, that stance that he has. He doesn't have the big leg kick. It's hard to get him off time. He struggled a bit last year. That's probably the worst I've ever seen him, and it wasn't that bad. But it was him. He'd never admit it, but I think more of the pressure getting outside of the comfort zone of being in Arizona for so long. But to see him come back this year with a vengeance, one of the best hitters in the entire game of baseball, you want to see him hit.
Played in every game this season for St. Louis. And he's ahead in the count 3-1. Remember, Carlson hitting behind him has been dangerous this series.
Well, Goldschmidt now has seen 3 breaking balls in this at bat, and I think that led to the base hit for Tommy Edman with all the breaking balls he got to see, eventually leading to that base hit.
Goldschmidt didn't see one that he could do anything with, and the Cardinals have loaded the bases here in the third. Carlson joined elite company when he debuted at the cleanup spot for St. Louis in the postseason, joining Stan Musial and Albert Pujols as 21-year-olds to do that. And Larry Rothschild is going to come out and have a word with Pierce Johnson. He's faced 2 batters thus far, and now he's pitching to Carlson with the bases loaded.
And as you know, I mean, the timing for Larry Rothschild has for a long time been perfect. And what he's doing right now, this is all about being positive. Talking about the ground ball base hit from Tommy Edman. Who cares about that? That's just a little bit of bad luck. You made a good pitch. And I don't blame you at all for being careful with Paul Goldschmidt. Now, listen to me. This guy has never seen you before. We got to come back. Obviously, with the bases loaded, this is an out we got to get. Here's how I think you can get it.
Well, Dylan Carlson was sent down essentially to the minors. That was the alternate training site for St. Louis in Springfield, Missouri this season. And Matt Carpenter said when he came back, I saw a different player. But before he left, he got off-speeded to death. Sliders and changeups from right-handed pitchers. And maybe we'll see a lot of the breaking ball from Pierce Johnson here.
That's a pitch you're going to take all day long. You know you're going to get it from Johnson, but nicking the outside corner like that, there's not a whole lot you can do with that.
Bases loaded for Dylan Carpenter. And another breaking ball in for a strike, 0-2. Pardon me, Dylan Carlson. I was thinking of Matt Carpenter when he was talking to the media before the game today. He said the only thing that Dylan Carlson does that can hurt him is he thinks so much. He is a very cerebral player, and sometimes he can overthink what's happening at the plate.
I just can't get over how natural Austin Nola looks back there behind home plate. That second strike was a pitch that he framed. You know, a guy who just came off the infield, it takes a while to figure that out. He was able to present that breaking ball down in the zone to where it was an easy call for the home plate umpire. And that block there, we've seen it in all 3 games, how good he is at keeping that ball in front of him.
Another breaking ball, and Carlson swings and misses. They got the matchup they wanted, and San Diego took advantage of it. Cardinals leave the bases loaded in the 3rd. Third inning, both teams have left the bases loaded. In their last time at bat, Fernando Tatis Jr. leads off for San Diego, and Jack Flaherty greets him with a fastball inside. Tatis drew a walk his first time up tonight. Tom Hart, Rick Sutcliffe, Jessica Mendoza, and Pedro Gomez on site for this decisive Game 3. Only game left in the wild card week. Flaherty off the mound, gotta hurry. Slings one over. Moments ago, we caught up with the Padres manager. Jace Tingler joins us now. Jace, it took a while for you guys to name your starter, Craig Stammen. When you put together this blueprint for the bullpen, how many times did it shift over the last couple of days?
We had a lot of discussion last night, throughout the morning, and a ton of plans in place. And, you know, at the end of the day, the majority of us felt good with Craig, and honestly, he came out and gave us exactly what we needed, especially the last 2 games, getting behind early in the game. So we still got a lot to string together. We got to get some runs on the board, and we'll go from there.
Jace, you knew when you got Austin Nola from Seattle that he could swing the bat. How impressed are you at his defense back there behind the plate?
Super impressed, especially with how quick he's learned the catching position and coming up basically a middle infielder, and how quick he's transitioned. Not just the defensive part, the baseball IQ, the understanding of how to attack hitters, understanding the strength of his pitching staff, just the entire package.
Jace, thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Manny Machado at the plate with the bases empty and 1 down, and the count now 2-1. Jace Tingler, first-year manager for the Padres, 39 years old, out of Smithville, Missouri. Sut, you'll love this story. When Tim Jamison, the head coach at the University of Missouri, was recruiting him, he wasn't sure if he had a scholarship for him. Tingler was a really good player as a youth, played on the same youth team as Albert Pujols. But Jamison was convinced when Tingler bunted home the winning run in extras of a wooden bat tournament. How many kids are bunting home the winning run in a showcase tournament?
One that we know of. There's just so many things about Jace Tingler that impress you.
Little punch to Goldschmidt, 2 down.
You know, his desire to get to where he's at right now, how he knew early in his career that he wasn't going to make it as a player. So he all of a sudden had some opportunities to coach. And then he had an opportunity to coach in the Dominican Republic. Okay, I'm going down there. I've got to learn Spanish. And he went to work at that. He went to school to learn how to communicate. How important is that for him right now? How important was that for him when he was a coordinator with the Texas Rangers and had all of the different roles that they needed? I mean, it was an easy call for A.J. Preller when he decided to make a change. He knew which direction he was going.
His mom, Diana, the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, head coach of the Smithville girls basketball team for a long time. They ran a full court press, 10 district titles. Dad, Steve, coached softball and also girls basketball at their rival West Platte. And he said the hardest thing this season is that I don't get a chance to see my parents. We've been isolated, but a lot of texts, a lot of phone calls to walk me through this postseason, and they continually remind me to enjoy the ride.
I love seeing his smile light up too. I mean, that's one of the best things, and we all talk to so many different managers, and it's nice and refreshing when they're so real with you, and that's something that Jace Tingler is, even when he wouldn't show us his hand with the pitchers. But when we start talking about mom and dad, start talking about family, important things, his face lit up. You can tell he's somebody that cares a ton, obviously for family, but also for his players.
2 balls and 2 strikes now to Hosmer after Flaherty had no issues with Tatis and Machado here in the 3rd. Strike 3 called. 1-2-3 frame worked by Jack Flaherty. He puts the Padres heart of the order down in order. We go to the 4th, still scoreless.
Want to stay up to date? Just tell Siri, show me the MLB postseason schedule.
And then simple tonight, only 1 game remaining. Division series starting next week. In San Diego to be the Rays, Yankees. The Astros are currently en route to Los Angeles. They're in the air after spending an extra night in Minnesota. They get the A's. Yadier Molina leads off, and he looks at a first pitch strike. Adrian Morejon on the mound for San Diego. He's the 4th pitcher of the game. Have your roster handy for this game with the Padres bullpen.
We talked earlier about all of the deals that A.J. Preller was able to make and all of the guys he gave up in the farm system. A lot of people think the top 5 prospects that the Padres had, he was able to hang on to. And this is obviously one of them right here. You got a left-hander that's young. He's got a lot of velocity, and he can spin it, as you just saw it there. A bright, bright future in this young man.
Yadier Molina with a 5-for-11 performance thus far in this postseason series. He had 3 hits in game 1. He sends this one deep to center field. Pushed back is Grisham, and shy of the wall, he'll haul it in. Well, the pitchers have come up with some big outs in tough situations. We've seen high leverage already here early. First, Flaherty with the bases loaded in the 2nd inning. And then Pierce Johnson with Dylan Carlson at the plate in the 3rd. They play Paul DeJong straight up. Bases empty, 1 down.
I also look back at the defense of Fernando Tatis Jr. The play that, it gets an out. It ends up being big with that run not being able to, the runner not being able to advance on what would have been an overthrow. I mean, he makes it look so easy on defense, but that play that he made impressed me. Just the fact that he got it, but let's remember he also got the out because his toe stayed on the bag on what was a huge wild throw to second base.
Snare by Morejon, and he'll deliver a strike over to Hosmer.
Yeah, this is to me the play of the game so far. I mean, yeah, we can talk pitching all day long. We got set here to do that, but when it comes to defense, this is my favorite. Again, not just getting, look at the athleticism, the reach, but watch his toe. Stay on that bag just long enough. Grill straight to the dirt. How about a little downward dog / push-up to finish it off?
When you hear a lot of infield coaches talk about a guy, whether he's good playing the infield or not, they talk about his feet. They talk about what kind of footwork that he has. And just watching Tatis Jr. right there, he had himself set up to try to turn the double play. But then when he saw that the throw was off, he shifted his feet to where he could get the right foot on the bag, jump out there with the left foot, and possibly get the force out. There's just so many things that go into making a play like that. And Jess, I'm glad you brought it back, because you're right. That could be the difference in this ball game when it's all said and done.
Footwork of a ballerina. Carpenter looks at the pitch low and in. 2-1.
You got a guy on the mound that's 21 years of age and throws 98. I mean, you think about Zach Davies. He's 27. You think about Luis Patino, he's 20.
Ripped to the right side, smothering stop by Cronenworth, and it's a 1-2-3 frame worked by Adrian Motorholm. You like defense, Jess? How about this?
Beautiful dive to his left. Tatis showing it earlier. Cronenworth finishing it off. Good D all around.
Jack Flaherty's done some big work in this one, Sut, including cruising through that third inning on just 12 pitches.
You know, his location has not been outstanding, but that just goes to show you how good his stuff is. The velocity, the command of that fastball, the ability to throw basically 3 pitches for a strike at any time. We've seen 2 different fastballs from him. You're seeing a lot of the reason why last year after the All-Star break, basically going 7-2 with an ERA of 0.91. You're not only talking about one of the best second halves in Cardinal history, you're talking about history overall.
That's a look at StatCast powered by Google Cloud, and a first pitch strike to Tommy Pham. Patience has been the key for hitters in this one. Just 2 of 29 have swung at the first pitch.
That's huge. I mean, I did the White Sox game yesterday, and it was exactly the opposite. It was like the first 29 pitches, they swung at the first like 21 or 22. I mean, they were all over it.
Whoa, the bat went flying, may have killed a cardboard cutout.
Jess, is that hand again?
Yeah, and this is that's exactly why it flies out. It's the bottom hand. That's the hand that lets go there late. And remember, it's the knob of the bat. He holds the bat into that knob there. And he lets go with the bottom hand immediately. So all he has is his top hand on his finish.
And guys have dealt with that for years in different ways. Some will put tape at the very bottom to try and taper the edge to the handle. And as Sut said earlier, the axe handle, which is a lot smoother. And he's shaking that hand again. Jay Sigler said it's really a pain tolerance issue in many ways, but also there are times where he loses feeling, and he might want another bat or at least some more
No, he
pine
wants
tar.
time. He wants time right here, because what they talked about was that nerve, and you'll take a look again. He's getting more pine tar, but what he needs is that 20 to 30 seconds because it hits that nerve. Look at where he holds the bat. So the knob actually hits onto that hamate bone, hits the nerve actually, but it was the injury of the hamate bone. And what they talked about pregame to us was that he'll start to lose feeling in that hand.
Snared by DeYoung. And there's one down. Yeah, can you imagine hitting in a big league game facing a guy like Jack Flaherty and you can only feel one of your hands?
No. I mean, that tells you so much about Tommy Pham. I mean, the vision issues that he's had to deal with throughout his entire career. I mean, nothing says more just to me about Tommy Pham than even that at bat. Just him battling through, knowing that he's losing feeling, that he's not 100%. And you need your hands as a hitter. Both of them.
Shift on for Moreland. DeYoung with the backhand stab, and he threw it wide, and that one will get past Goldschmidt. But Mitch Moreland will stay at first. Second hit for Mitch Moreland.
Mitch Moreland doing a lot of the things here in Game 3 that he did when he was with Boston this year. He came over here and hits have just been really hard to come by, but that on-base percentage that he had with the Red Sox of .430, and the fact that he could play defense if they weren't able to get Eric Hosmer back is what made him so attractive once again.
Seven years in the postseason, 13 different series played by Moreland between Texas and Boston. First pitch strike to Will Myers. No batting gloves for Myers. Never have, never will. Just grabs a little bit of dirt. And will grind down on the handle. Whoa. Backs him up 1-1.
Tom, one of the questions that we had for Jay Singler earlier today was about all of the offense and where it came from. What was the thoughts when you went into spring training this year with your coaching staff on that? How about how he talked about the videos that they all sat down and watched together? And what did they watch? They watched the World Series, and they watched the Washington Nationals and Juan Soto and Rendon. And I love how he talked about, we not only talked about how they swung the bat and the slug percentage they were able to put up, but we talked about that balance between contact and keeping the line moving. And sometimes there's an at-bat where all you can do is take that walk and have the trust that you can turn it over to one of your teammates. They have shown that throughout the year, and we saw it. What was it, after the 6th inning last night in Game 2?
Yeah, 2 different ways to do it: pass the baton or use the baton to hit it out of the ballpark. And the Padres, 3rd in Major League Baseball, getting 51% of their runs from home runs. It was funny hearing you talk, Sut. You're kind of like, yeah, home runs can be rally killers. Well, not when you go back to back. And they did that twice.
Well, and the way they did it too. I mean, it's so explosive, feeding off of each other. I mean, you could feel the energy through the screen.
Line drive, base hit, Myers. Moreland stops at second. 2 on with 1 down for San Diego.
Good afternoon, baseball fans. But first base Hodges fields the ball and makes the play.
So an opportunity for Austin Nola. We touched on his story a little bit already today. 655 professional games when he came up from LSU at the middle infield, and then made the move to behind the plate in the Arizona Fall League in 2016. He got help from a college teammate. Micah Gibbs was a catcher on LSU's national championship team, a teammate of Nola. And a handful of years ago, when he found out they wanted him to convert the catcher, they went to dinner together. Ruffino's in Baton Rouge, fantastic Italian steak place. Sut, you would love it. And he said, Mike, I need some help. If you can help me learn to catch, I can continue my career. But otherwise, I'm going to quit and join the Army. It took less than a week of workouts for Gibbs to realize that Nola was already better than him. And lo and behold, the conversion has been one that you would think would be used as an example for years to come.
Send him to Baton Rouge.
Send him to Ruffino's.
Get him, yeah, get him a steak.
If nothing else, you're going to have a good meal.
Well, I think about the athletic qualities that are necessary to be an elite middle infielder and how that translates behind the plate. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, it also makes a lot of sense in the way that he moves and what he's able to do, knowing that he hasn't been behind the plate for decades, that it hasn't been. It's been, what, 4 years? He's had to learn the position, but he's also just so agile, and the way that he understands, you'll see it as a hitter. I mean, he can read pitches and spit on them like that. I mean, there's a breaking ball that, I mean, even Jack Flaherty's response. I mean, his reaction is like, why aren't you swinging at that? I get so many swings and misses on my slider because of the deception of the pitch. But Austin Nola has a great eye and understanding of what the pitch is going to do. It works for him behind the plate as well.
8 seasons in the minors before making his major league debut with Seattle last year. You know his brother Aaron, longtime big league pitcher. He sends this shot to center field. Back is Bader and makes a hop and a catch. Tagging from second will be Moreland. And San Diego has a runner at third base for the second time in this scoreless game.
How hard is it to hit it out to center field? I know it happened yesterday, but here, and Pedro, I know you're in the stadium, but I feel like this is one of the harder stadiums, even though it's warm. But we've seen some shots hit to center field that have gotten caught on the warning track.
Well, as the night comes, the marine layer starts to come in, although tonight there is no marine layer. but normally it is a very difficult park at night. One of the things about the last two batters, that's only the second and third hit that has reached the outfield tonight. Flaherty has kept everything in the infield other than a Mitch Moreland single and the Will Myers single, and now the Nola fly out to center. Otherwise, everything in the infield.
Jake Cronenworth with that little infield blooper that was mishandled by DeYoung for a base hit. He's 1 for 1. 3 for 5 in this series. 2 on in a scoreless game in the fourth. Molina tried to bring it up. James Hoy wouldn't bite. 2-0.
Just to add to your comment about how difficult this park is, I think about 04, the first year it opened, and how Phil Nevin came over after hitting 40 home runs a year before at Qualcomm. Ryan Klesko was hitting 20 and 30 home runs every year. And I mean, a lot of balls that they hit out there, they didn't go anywhere here. And as you know, since then, I mean, over the last decade, they continue to move the fences in and in and in, and they're still hard to get the ball out of here.
396 to the right of center is the deepest part of this ballpark. 390 behind Bader. Cronenworth to the right side. Wong from the grass. And that'll end the Padres' threat. They strand 2 in the fourth. They've left 6 on through 4 in a scoreless game. Welcome back to the 2020 Wild Card Series presented by Hankook Tire. Final game of the Fall Frenzy, final game of this Wild Card Series, and we've already seen some incredible performances both on the mound and at the plate. How about Garrett Cole? 13 strikeouts in 7 innings, second most in Yankees postseason history. Trevor Bauer's magnificent in a loss.
He's probably going to win the Cy Young for sure. Those 12 Ks, no walks, 2 hits. And let's not forget Fernando Tatis Jr. We won't. We'll be talking about his performance yesterday, those 2 home runs. And, of course, Clayton Kershaw, 13 Ks and 8 innings pitched. Career high for him in a ridiculous career that he's already had. That was yesterday against the Brewers.
How about this history set?
I tell you, Tom, I don't know if you know this story. I may have told it to Jess, but a couple years ago, we were doing a game at Dodger Stadium. Sandy Koufax was in the house, and I had met Sandy when I was 18 years old in spring training. And all of a sudden, he stopped by, and I asked him if he'd sit down for a half inning, and he blessed us by doing that. And Clayton Kershaw was on the mound. And I said, Sandy, I go, when they asked us to compare Clayton Kershaw's career to yours, is that fair? And he goes, Rick, I only hope that when Clayton's career is over, they still want to compare what I did to what he's doing.
Wow.
Yeah. That blew us all away, and Sandy was just being honest.
Well, we've seen some great pitching for both sides tonight. The first 2 games of this series featured a lot of offense, 31 runs on 46 hits. Through 4 tonight, not a single run on only 6 hits.
I think the thing that amazes me or shocks me more than anything that's happened in this postseason was the lead that the Cardinals gave Adam Wainwright in Game 2. They were up 4-0. They're up 6-2. In a game that he started, they scored 9 runs. I mean, that's guarantee win night. When you look at the year that Adam Wainwright had, if you go back and really look at all of his starts, he could easily have been 10-0. He's been that good, but we know that the lack of offense normally during the season for the St. Louis Cardinals has been their problem.
Wainwright is not under contract for next season for St. Louis. He's been signing 1-year deals over the last couple of seasons. Neither is Yadier Molina. Harrison Bader at the plate, 1-2. Nine-hole hitter for St. Louis. Hit by pitch his first time at the plate tonight.
After 225 years, you'd think we'd look to our past. Nope. We're looking to our future. we're innovating every day to raise Jim Beam for 225 years to come.
21-year-old Cuban Adrian Morejon is getting some valuable postseason experience in this one for the Padres. He's retired all 5 batters he's faced. He struck out the last 2. And now in the one-hole, Colton Wong.
I've been impressed with the split to righties, both those strikeouts to Fowler and Bader. You can always tell a good pitch set by the swing. And when they miss by feet, it's not because they're a bad hitter. These are big league hitters. It's how good the pitch is.
Serve to left. 2-out single will bring Tommy Edman to the plate.
I think Tommy Edman's finally excited to hopefully get an at-bat from the right side where he's had most of his success this year.
Morejon is the 4th pitcher used by San Diego tonight after Craig Stammen got the start. And they're going to go through a handful of them. Morejon will keep a close eye on Wong. 5 stolen bases in 7 attempts in the regular season. Tommy Edman, a local product from La Jolla, just up the road.
That split is dirty. These righties, I know you're talking about Tommy wanting to get up from the right side, but against Morejon right now, I don't know.
And I think also with those guys knowing that he can touch 95 anytime he wants to. I just, man, when you look at what the rotation could be for these Padres next year, you got Lamet, you got Clevenger, Mackenzie Gore is knocking on that door. I was a little bit surprised that he wasn't in that clubhouse before the game tonight as maybe just like a bulk guy to pitch some innings. He's been their #1 prospect for a while. You got Paddock at 24 years of age. I mean, that list just keeps going on and on with the talent that this organization has right now and how good they're going to be for who knows how long.
One and one to Edman. Well, there was some talk that the Padres might make a move and replace Matt Strahm on the postseason roster, at least for the final game of this series. To do so, and he's been battling a knee injury, that he would have to stay off the roster for the next series as well. But that's what you would have to do to bring one of those guys up from the taxi squad as Edman looks at a strike 1 and 2.
Yeah, as Jace Tingler told us before the game, Strahm convinced him that he would be able to go again tonight. We know that he's been out there the last couple of nights. We know that when healthy, he's extremely tough on left-handed hitters.
To Tatis. Whoa, throw is high and Edman is safe, and the Cardinals have an opportunity here in the top of the 5th. Wong got into second, a little wonky, huh? What happened?
I'm not real sure. Obviously, from my basement here, I can't see that. But I think what might have happened is you look at Tatis making that play right there. As he got the ball, he looked to second. Can I get the little force out right here? But the speed of Colton Wong getting down the line made him make up his mind that, he thought about going to second. Now I can't go to second. Maybe his footwork wasn't exactly right to make it accurate, though. And that strong arm of his with the speed going down the line, Edman always hustling. It just got away from him. I think that's more about reputations of Wong and his speed going down there and knowing that Edman's always going to go hard. Every now and then a guy who's had a great defensive year is going to make a mistake.
That was a good.
Well, Colton Wong went into second base awkwardly. He was all smiles because instead of dirt, there's sandpaper there.
He reminds me of my 5-year-old sliding in, just, having fun. I'm going to lie here. I'm done.
Huge opportunity for St. Louis. Paul Goldschmidt looks at a first pitch strike from Austin Adams in a scoreless game with 2 aboard in the 5th.
I love you, Jess. I'm thinking about my grandson playing Little League and something like that, where the coach would go over and pick him up and tell him how great he did.
Safe.
Off the plate to Goldschmidt. Now, last time in this situation, Goldschmidt really didn't get anything to hit, or at least anything to drive. You expect the same situation here with 2 on?
No, I think he's going to go right at him here. You got a guy on the mound that he hadn't seen a whole lot of. He's got that deceptive kind of 3-quarter delivery. He's got that late breaking ball. He's brought in to get an out right now.
29-year-old Adams overthrew the slider, 2-1. Goldschmidt 1 for 3 against Adams in his career with a strikeout.
Look at how he hides that baseball, and you can see all the movement to that breaking pitch. He's got velocity, but even with all that he has going for him, he's got to find a good location to get a good hitter out.
Adams was brought on to face Goldschmidt in the 5th inning with a runner on last night. Got him to fly out to center field. Goldschmidt has homered in each of the first 2 wild card games of this series.
Hit a couple of home runs in that division series last year for the Cardinals against those Atlanta Braves.
Six-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, Paul Goldschmidt. Out of play, it'll stay 2-2. Mike Schilt, when he talked about Paul Goldschmidt, uses the phrase residual value. It's more than you see on the field or the back of the card. They call him the big fundy for the fundamentals. He said everybody feeds off of what he does right. The attention to detail never lacks. He won't be flashy, won't talk about himself, but he is a guy that the other players can model their play after.
Kind of like what that young pitching staff does when they follow Adam Wainwright around.
Got him looking. Big pitch from Adams, and the Cardinals leave a pair on here in the 5th. In a scoreless game, St. Louis has left 6 on, and Adams goes after the Cardinals star and gets him looking. Tomorrow, our ESPN College Football primetime game is the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Number 4 Georgia has an elite defense. Bo Nix, the reigning SEC Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, I should say. And number 7 Auburn go between the hedges. The Dogs have won the last 3 against the Tigers. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app. ESPN College Football primetime is presented by PlayStation 5.
Where are you at this weekend?
Got LSU and Vanderbilt tomorrow night.
Dang, that's a week for you.
Pretty good week.
It.
I can't complain.
And if you're just a sports fan right now, you got a little bit of everything.
NBA Finals back tomorrow night. French Open going on. The Masters is a month away. It's weird to keep up with the calendar, right? There are events happening that your mind tells you shouldn't be happening right now, baseball being the exception.
Just this week, I mean, Wednesday, I don't know, that day alone was amazing. To have, like, I mean, my head still hurts just from the amount of screens I had open trying to keep track and do a game, but watch games, and it was awesome. Never seen anything like it.
Timmy Kirchin called it the best day of his life.
I hope his wife wasn't here. He always got to preface that. Besides, when I got married.
We talked about it that first day. We got to hear our good buddy earlier in the day, Matt Veskersian, talking about it being commuter flights. How, every hour, if you're not watching it, you can get on another plane to go somewhere. You can watch another postseason baseball game.
This one isn't cutting it. Just switch the channel.
Yeah.
After the visit from Molina, Flaherty back at it. The 2-1 to Grisham, missed inside.
Talked earlier about the success that the Milwaukee Brewers have had against Jack Flaherty the last couple of years. Grisham's been one of those guys.
Took over for Christian Yelich when he was injured. Molina gives it a look. Asked Mike Schiltz about Flaherty's struggles against Milwaukee. So I don't believe in coincidences. This couple of bad outings, his worst of the season, came against the Brewers this season.
They've got something on him, and Craig Counsell's one of the best at picking up things when maybe a pitcher's tipping a pitch or something like that. The Cardinals say they haven't figured it out yet. He doesn't have a problem with anybody else.
What does that do to your mindset as a pitcher?
Well, the first thing you look at it like, okay, if I made a quality pitch, what happened there? Did the catcher move too soon? One of my infielders, are you moving? What's going on here? Did somebody in the on-deck circle whistle? Did they give away location? Okay, if none of that happened, now you come back to the piece of dirt you're standing on going, all right, what am I doing? What did I do to give away that pitch? Because you make a pitch like that, okay, he might get it. But if that pitch is down on the outside corner and he hits it with authority, something's going on there. You get with your pitching coach, your bullpen coach. You get with a lot of the other guys on your staff to try to figure out what's happening.
Here's Fernando Tatis Jr. Strength versus strength in this matchup. Tatis, low ball hitter. Flaherty, low ball pitcher. 12 home runs in the lower half, including the postseason, to lead all of baseball. Tied with Ronald Acuna Jr. A wiggle for Tatis. And Flaherty pounding the bottom of the zone. That is a commonplace for Jack Flaherty to attack. 75% of his pitches are in the lower half of the zone. 8th highest in baseball.
You try to stay away from slug percentage anytime you're on the mound, and that's a good place to go normally.
The game's changing that way, though, too. You're seeing so many guys being taught to elevate the fastball, use that four-seamer, especially high-spin guys, attack more of the launch angle swings that can get to those balls low in the zone, but struggle more on pitches that are up.
Yanked down the line and fair. Off of the short wall, it'll redirect Dylan Carlson, and Fernando Tatis Jr. is into second base with a one-out double. That's a first hit for the top half of the batting order for San Diego.
Just the way it comes off of his bat. I mean, we've talked so much about the athleticism. We've shown his defensive plays, the home runs. I mean, this one he actually just gets around, but he hits it almost 109 miles an hour. Good luck, Tommy Edman, at third base as he dives to try to get to this. Just a little bit late underneath the glove, but that's a shot down the line as you see it ricochet. An easy double for Tatis.
And so a visit from pitching coach Mike Maddox, with Jack Flaherty dealing with Tatis and Machado at the plate.
I think it's probably just a reminder of what's gone on with Manny Machado the first two at-bats, the good things that you've done. I don't know what's going on, but you know that during that at-bat with Grisham, that Yadier Molina came out on the 2-1 pitch and had something to say, like, what are you doing? You're getting away from what we've been trying to do. I don't know if he was shaking Molina off or what, but they've not been real happy with him here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Machado just 2 for 12 this series, but one of those two, a big one. Following Tatis's 3-run home run with a solo shot. And he lifts this to shallow right field. Wong back over the shoulder. Beautiful catch, and they'll keep Tatis at the bag, and that was closer than it should have been.
There's not too many second basemen, I think, that get to this ball. And Tatis Jr. had to make sure that he came off the bag enough just in case this did drop in. He wanted to score. Colton Wong, by the way, made that look a lot easier than it was. I mean, he's going out to right field over his shoulder, making that grab. And that's why Tatis Jr. looking to go.
Whoop.
Something with second base tonight, huh?
I guess so. Somebody put a tripwire out there. Here's Eric Hosmer at the plate. 2 down, scoreless game in the 5th. Hosmer sends a shot to left field. It gets past Carlson into the fence. Tatis will score, and Hosmer pulls up at second base with an RBI double. San Diego has the lead in the 5th.
This is all about approach from at bat to at bat for Eric Hosmer. He had seen the sinker, the fastball down. He gets first pitch right here. He knows exactly. He split the plate in half. He's looking middle away. Flaherty wanted this more off the plate, probably more down in the zone. But Hosmer, that is exactly what he was looking for. That's why first pitch, he's swinging what he wants.
You know, Jess, you mentioned launch angle earlier. And I've had a lot of people tell me that Eric Hosmer was a guy that over the winter started embracing that, started trying to figure out ways for him to get the ball into the air more consistently.
It has paid off for Hosmer and the Padres. They lead 1-0. Tommy Pham at the plate. We've been watching Pham's hands throughout the course of this game. He turns away from a pitch inside.
That's a great point, Tom, and I think that has a little bit to do with the reaction by Flaherty when he knew he made a mistake. He knew he had a base open. He got Machado to swing at a pitch that was just off the plate to pick up the second out. You got Hosmer up there. He's won a World Series. He was an MVP of an All-Star game right here in San Diego back in 2016. That was more of a mental mistake than a physical, giving him something good to hit.
There's no one throwing in the Cardinals bullpen yet. Flaherty sitting at 92 pitches. First 2 trips through the batting order. Top 5 batters were 0 for 10 with 5 Ks against Flaherty. 2 for 4, third trip through.
That's one thing about this Padre team. Even in the first game if they lost, man, they rarely give you a 1-2-3 inning. They're finding a way to get a guy on base 1 through 9, and they did not have a 1-2-3 inning last night.
To third, Edman will take the tag to finish the inning, but not before Fernando Tatis Jr. and Eric Hosmer pieced together a couple of doubles off of Jack Flaherty. Will one be enough? We will wait and see. Padres up 1-0. Game 3 of this series between the Cardinals and Padres, brought to you by Hankook Tire, official tire of Major League Baseball. Petco Park in San Diego's a site. We've never done October like this before, and that means anything can happen. MLB has you covered on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Social media. For Rick Sutcliffe, it might be a social hour. All of his friends hanging out outside the condos. It's a 1-0 lead for the Padres.
It's easy to have fun here in San Diego. I'll say that.
Padres go back to the bullpen. It's the first appearance of the postseason for Luis Patino. 20-year-old from Colombia. Began the season at the alternate training site. Got called up to the Major League roster on August 4th. Dylan Carlson behind in the count, 0-2.
I love an at-bat like this, man. You got a 20-year-old kid on the mound that throws hard. You got a former #1 pick that's 21 years of age at home plate. These are really, really good at-bats.
To Tatis. And there's one down with Yadier Molina coming up. So the strength for Patino, his slider, average velocity a tick above MLB average. The whiff rate 10% higher, and opponents only hitting 100 against it.
But I'll tell you the #1 thing, and I think this might have to do with Mackenzie Gore not being here right now. It all starts. I don't care who you are. You can spin it. You can do this. It starts with fastball command. When you prove you can locate that heater, when you can move it in and out, when you can do it in the bullpen, and then you can add a hitter. And the one thing taken away this year that a lot of guys will have trouble with is the crowd. When you add the adrenaline of a big league game and you can still locate that fastball, then you're ready. And Patino has obviously proven that to the Padres.
Said it's got to help so much, though, that there aren't fans, as you mentioned, just because, I mean, we've seen so many pitchers come in. And there's already the adrenaline, the pressure that you're going to feel in these bigger game moments. But can you imagine 40,000 plus?
Molina fits this one inside the line and deep into the corner. And he will jog into second with a 1-out double.
Just kind of thinking of how both of these teams got here and the guys that have come up with big hits for them. Well, Tatis Jr. did it in the bottom of the 5th inning, followed by a double with Eric Hosmer. And all of a sudden you come right back. They punch you, you punch them back, and Yadier Molina again for the Cardinals able to do that.
An amazing career for Molina. 16 opening day starts, second most in franchise history, behind only Stan Musial, who made 18 from 1946 to 63. The young broken bat dribbler, that one's going to stay fair. Scooped up, tag made, and Molina advances to third.
I actually, for a second, guys, I thought that was a line drive headed to left field, but it was actually part of the bat that took off in that direction. I don't even think Paul DeYoung knew where that ball was to begin with, and then unfortunate for him, it stayed fair. Patino not giving up on it. He comes over and gets to it as quick as he can before he could get foul to pick up that second out.
What's Mike Schild asking for here? Crew chief Bill Miller.
I think he's just maybe asking if maybe that ball didn't hit off Paul DeYoung's leg. Come on, guys, give me something back here. I think he's just trying to figure out a way to keep from giving up that out.
Cardinals hitters 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position tonight. 7 for 36 in the series after a huge start in game number 1.
A lot of pressure on your catcher in this spot here. You talked about that breaking ball of Patino.
And he greets Matt Carpenter with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Really big spot in the 9th inning last night when Matt Carpenter missed a fastball from Trevor Rosenthal, leading to a 3-2 pitch where he got spin and he chased a breaking ball down in the dirt.
That came with a tying run at second base for St. Louis. Cardinals never went away last night after holding the lead, giving it up, and then scratching and clawing to get a couple of runs in the 8th and one more in the 9th. End result was an 11-9 Padres win to even the series. Just inside 3-0.
Yeah, I turn him loose because I know what he's capable of doing. I know what he's done in the past for this organization. You want to get him a fastball to hit. Just a couple of years ago, he had 36 home runs.
And a solid career for Matt Carpenter. Played his college ball at TCU. Was a big recruit for Jim Schlossnagle, but underachieving for the first 2 years of college. 40 pounds overweight, got hurt in the spring of his junior year, had Tommy John. Got called into the coach's office, had a heart-to-heart about changing his habits. He immediately did. He dropped those 40 pounds and turned into a major league player, and that one was low, but a strike called.
It's ball 4. It's below the zone, which is exactly where they want it. It's close enough and a nice frame by Nola behind the plate to get that strike called.
Carpenter fights that one off. I can hear the Cardinals fans now. They all want robot umpires right now. But then when Yadier Molina gets behind the plate, they're like, no, we're good with Yadi. Let's keep the umpires the way it is.
Let the catchers do their magic. That is such a stat now more than ever. Said, I know you see this, but catchers being looked at, the pitch framing ability, and even the sacrifice they will give to runners to steal. You'll see guys go down to a knee, the runner on base, to frame a low pitch.
That is ball 4, and Carpenter will take it. Runners at the corners for St. Louis with Fowler coming up. And the data that coaching staffs look at now in regard to getting a catcher, even one as big as, say, Salvador Perez with the Royals, getting him lower so the umpire has a better view of the strike zone.
Well, it's such a big part, being able to steal that strike down. You're not going to get a whole lot of them from side to side like you can that low one, because a lot of times you can block that umpire with where you're sitting, and if you put the heel of the glove higher than the webbing of the glove, you catch it in the webbing, say below the zone, but he sees that heel of your glove high enough to be a strike. That's how you steal that low strike. But David Ross, I mean, back when we were working with him the last couple of years, he was the one that talked about how you got to get underneath it and come up. You can't get it and go down and then bring it back up. You're not going to get that call. You got to work from underneath it up to the zone.
Well, it's obvious now that the game plan for Patino is to give them some length. He's one of a handful that haven't thrown in this series yet, and he's sitting at 14 pitches now with 2 on and 2 out. Nobody throwing for the Pods yet in the pen, although that'll change here in a moment. And so what's also interesting about how the plan shifts with regard to what you need from your bullpen in a Johnny Holstaff day. Nola with a fantastic block. And what I mean by that is if this thing is looking more and more like, oh, we might be playing for a while, if the Cardinals can scratch one across, then it puts even more emphasis on having a fresh arm.
Really fortunate there. Yeah, Jess.
Yeah, no, just the movement for him to slide to get to be behind that ball, then use glove, chest protector, everything to keep a run from scoring.
Fowler lifts it to center field, to right center. Racing back is Grisham, and he will haul it in with ease. Cardinals strand a pair in the 6th. They've left 4 on over the last 2 in a 1-0 game. Welcome back to the 2020 Wild Card Series presented by Hankook Tire. Here's our Geico Game Track. Cardinals trail 1-0, bottom of the sixth. St. Louis 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. No run support for Jack Flaherty. An RBI double from Eric Hosmer in the 5th is the difference maker. First pitch to Mitch Moreland misses low. Moreland is 2 for 2. Pedro Gomez is at the field. Pedro, run support for Flaherty in the postseason seems to be all or nothing.
This is his 4th postseason start. It's the 3rd time he has received 0 runs. The other start, he received 13 runs while he was out there, and that was Game 5 against the Atlanta Braves last year in the LDS when the Cardinals scored 10 in the first inning, basically ending the game before the Braves even picked up a bat. So it is literally feast or famine when Jack Flaherty starts in the postseason.
Sure, he wouldn't mind spreading that out a little bit. Moreland's got 2 hits tonight as Flaherty approaches the century mark. Still nobody throwing yet in the Cards' pen. Mike Schilt went with Kwang Young Kim in Game 1 of this series. Kim went 3 2/3. Wainwright 3 1/3 last night.
I just, as I look at this Padre lineup, and I think about, as a pitcher, you get down to the bottom of the order. Normally you can coast a little bit, but you just can't do that here. You think about the 11 runs the Padres scored last night, 7 of them came from the 6, 7, 8, or 9 spot.
The walks were killer. Flaherty falls off the mound. This has been an issue for him over the last couple of weeks of the season. And so much so as he strikes out Moreland that when he starts a bullpen session, he starts it with dry throws where he's just stepping to make sure he can get his footwork right.
You see that happen a lot to people when they try to overthrow. And, he's just putting so much into it that, and you've heard me talk about it, Tommy, and I mean, that back leg, it's like a stick shift. You're shifting that car into gear, and that front leg's supposed to be a brake, and there's just a lot of times it comes down so hard trying to stop your body with all that momentum that something's just going to give way, and a lot of times that dirt does.
Well, I don't know if it's shocks, struts, or brakes, but it's been misaligned for Flaherty all season. He said it's just never looked right. I haven't been landing properly, to the point where he and the pitching coach Mike Maddox went over video prior to a bullpen session late in the year to sync up the delivery and just give him confidence that his mechanics are good enough to get him through a game.
Well, one of the first things that anybody's taught, even in high school, is as a pitcher you want to land on the ball of your foot. You don't want to come down on your heel, because that's where a lot of times that release point will be altered. Just kind of stick that ball of your foot into there to where it gets a good grip with those spikes you have.
So it begs the question, isn't it like riding a bike for a pitcher? He's been doing this his whole life.
Yeah, but you know what? You get long sometimes when you want to elevate a fastball. Look how it comes down. I mean, that right there is absolutely perfect. He's coming down on the ball of his foot, the front part of his foot, and the ball's hitting right before the heel comes down.
Pulled foul. It's amazing that you could pitch with confidence if you're Jack Flaherty, if you're having issues with something as elementary as landing. I don't want to say it's simple. I'm not trying to simplify it in that regard, but if you can't get that right, everything got to be thrown out of whack. Myers lays off of it.
Tommy, I wonder too, with all of the different pitchers that the Padres have brought out there and all of the different spots that they land in, I would imagine that landing area and the spot right in front of the slab, they're probably getting pretty chewed up about now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. You can land on the side of your foot. And look at that hole in front of the mound right there. I found myself a lot of times just moving. I might move over to the first base side right now just to have some brand new footing that nobody's touched yet.
Well, there have been 7 different pitchers, which means 7 different landing spots. Flaherty's postseason high for pitches is 117. That came in Atlanta in Game 2 of the division series last year. Backhanded DeYoung. Low throw. Goldschmidt is there.
I love the defense tonight. We've shown it from the Padres, but for the Cardinals, Paul Goldschmidt, this is why the Cardinals defense. In fact, they have the lowest average allowed on ground balls, and as good as Paul DeYoung, Colton Wong have been, this has been the difference. Paul Goldschmidt taking the ball, not necessarily having to pick it as a short hop, but being able to read it as a hard throw last minute. And he's done so much of that this season. If you've been watching any Cardinals games, see how many balls he has saved and the confidence it gives his infielders to just let it go because he's got them.
2 down for Austin Nola, who fouls the first one off.
Yeah, to that note, just last year the St. Louis Cardinals committed the least errors in all of baseball after the year before creating the most errors in the game.
Yeah.
As Mike Schilt told me last year before the postseason, he says, finally, for us, outs are outs.
Well, the confidence it gives your pitcher. I mean, look at Jack Flaherty tonight. Where has he been living? Bottom of the zone. And can you imagine if he had the defense of 2 years ago where you know there's going to be errors every sometimes 6, 7 innings is how often they were making errors. But now he can pitch with conviction, everything he needs to do. Know his D has his back.
This will be the 110th pitch of the night for Jack Flaherty. Alex Reyes is loose in the Cardinals pen. Strike 3 called. He got him with 95, and he puts him down in order in the 6th. Score remains San Diego 1, St. Louis nothing. Wild Card Series is presented by Hankook Tire. Never halfway. We're almost to the end of the wild card round. Final game remaining here. This game number 3, and the comparison is not much of one between the Cardinals and Padres in their postseason 11 World Series championships for St. Louis. Padres have never won one, and they're meeting in the postseason for the 4th time. St. Louis has eliminated San Diego every other meeting. In fact, the Cardinals have been great in winner-take-all postseason games. They have more wins in elimination games, 16, than the Padres have total playoff wins. Pardon me, total playoff games. Emilio Pagan on the mound for San Diego. And Brad Miller pinch hitting for St. Louis.
Kind of interesting when you look at the stats on this season. We all know that everything's been different, and you can't think a whole lot about anything that you look at, but Miller leads the St. Louis Cardinals in home runs with 7. The San Diego Padres have 6 guys with 7 home runs or more, and some of them with a lot more.
Mike Schilt telling us before the game today it's really hard to judge our offensive production based on the numbers, considering everything they've been through from a scheduling standpoint and the exhaustion that has overcome this team at times.
And the slugging numbers do show. I mean, tired, whatever the reason is. I mean, they have been extremely down this year for this Cardinals offense, and a lot of their offensive numbers really just good at bats. I mean, they get on base, they have walks, but when it comes to the power numbers, it's a lot different than we've seen in years past.
The journeyman Miller taking over the DH, now pinch hitting in this one, and easy one for Pham, 1 down.
Big job or small, you make sure things get done right. It's not a competition. It's just that you're not willing to settle. Not in your work, not in your hobbies, and never with your bourbon. Evan Williams. Bourbon done right.
When's the last time you saw a pitcher's duel with 8 different pitchers in one game?
You know, Tommy, I was just thinking about that and thinking about the Padres' first-year manager, Jace Tingler, and knowing that David Ross had his first year, and over the years, Jess and Tommy, we've gotten to know a lot of guys, and they'll tell you right from the very beginning, the toughest part about being a manager in your first year is learning to handle the bullpen. And I'll guarantee you that they'll all tell you that having the DH in the National League helps a little bit. But there's never been a first-year manager that's ever tried to piece together a bullpen like what Jace Tingler has been handed for this elimination Game 3.
Colton Wong down in the count 0-2. I loved what he said when we talked to him about his plan during the in-game interview. He said, well, we all got together and discussed and went through some different ideas. It's never just the manager making these decisions, and it's never just the manager and the pitching coach. It's a collaborative episode with the entire staff.
That's when it gets fun, though. I mean, when you look at matchups, you start to, and I know it's like Tetris. I mean, you're trying to make all the right moves. You don't have time all the time. You come into the game thinking this is exact scenarios. I would love to see this pitcher against this hitter. But the game never lends itself to how you plan it beforehand. So then you got to think on your feet and quick.
Another splintered bat. This one's going to roll off the grass and foul. Machado will make sure by slinging it towards the dugout. Wong needs some new wood.
How big is that play? We're not going to know.
Fair point.
I mean, you put Colton Wong on base. You know that he had a career high with 24 stolen bases a year ago. He's going to have the green light. Maybe all of a sudden you put the game in motion. And we talked to Mike Schilt earlier in this series about that. And he said, we like doing that once in a while. That ball going foul right there takes a lot of things away from the Cardinals offense.
2 hits in this one for Wong. Jack Flaherty with a big strikeout to end the 6th. He's had to pitch through some traffic with the bases loaded in the 2nd and left 2 stranded in the 4th. 3rd straight appearance for Pagan, and Wong sends it to left. Tommy Pham again. 2 down. Pham dropped one last night, Sut.
Yeah, you know what? I was just thinking of that. Yeah, that's a great point. That's what, one of the things that makes it so tough. I'd love to have gone in there after the game last night. And Tommy, what happened?
Yeah.
Is it your vision again? Because we saw like some moisture in his eyes, and we saw him like blinking, and we just didn't know when he dropped that ball. It was just as routine as that one was right there. And I mean, we know that he's had those visions problems for the longest time. We know that when he was with the Cardinals, they helped him figure it out.
A hot day in San Diego. Sun is set now, but one of the hottest days of the fall. It was 91 degrees at first pitch as Tommy Edman looks at a strike. Edman reached on a Tatis error last time up. Cardinals running out of time. The offense we see tonight is eerily similar to the offense that struggled through the course of the regular season. Here's the 0-2 to Tommy Edman from Emilio Pagan. Tommy Pham into the corner. This is where he dropped it last night, up against the wall, and it just off the top of the padding. Pham's been busy in left this half inning. And Edman gets another opportunity on a 1-for-3 night thus far. Showed Jack Flaherty a moment ago. It seems like his night is likely done after 6 innings of work, and Alex Reyes moving about the Cardinals bullpen. And it looks like the Cards will go to the pen the rest of the way. Padres have been there from the get-go. 0-2 to Edman. This was a planned bullpen day from the beginning of the series for San Diego. That was necessitated by the loss of their 2-star pitchers, Dinelson Lamet and Mike Clevenger, due to injury in the final regular season series against the Giants. Clevenger with game 2 starter Zach Davies. Davies only went 2. Chris Paddock, the game 1 starter, only went 2 1/3. So this Padres bullpen has been working overtime to get him here to game number 3. Tonight, 3 hits allowed in 5 shutout innings for the bullpen if you include just the relievers, but consider Craig Stammen, who got the start, also pitching out of the pen. Edman staying alive.
Heck of an at bat from Tommy Edman, fouling everything off that Pagan has thrown at him. This is what the Cardinals will do to you. We talked earlier about maybe the lack of home run and some of the power and slug, but they've got great eyes at the plate and the ability with guys like Tommy Edman to foul pitches off until he gets one that he can put in play for a hit.
This will be the 7th pitch of the at bat from Pagan to Edman.
Well, the Cardinal fans out there know one thing. They know that Tommy Edman has scored the first run in each of the first 2 games for their team.
Nice to have you back. Would you go get a sandwich or something? Goldschmidt waiting on deck. That's why this at bat is so important. And Tommy Edman doing everything he can to extend it against Emilio Pagan.
The breaking ball, the changeup, the fastball in, fastball away. It's got to frustrate you so much as a pitcher. You're battling.
How do you know, Jess? You can't see anything, just like I could.
I can. I'm back up.
I'm back too.
Well, if you missed it, he's fouled off 4 straight 2-strike pitches.
Did you hear me say that he needs to get on?
Yeah, it's kind of important.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Cronenworth's got it, and that lengthy at bat will come to an end. The Cardinals go down in order in a lengthy 7th with nothing doing. 1-0 Pods. Pitching, and Jack Flaherty gave him 6 strong innings.
He was outstanding once again, as we saw him last year in a division series for these Cardinals. He closed out the Atlanta Braves with that big win in Game 5 there, getting them into the League Championship Series against the Washington Nationals. He basically, after the first 2 innings, when he had a little bit of command problem, he walked a couple of guys. He just started filling the strike zone up with a lot of late movement and a lot of really good velocity.
That StatCast powered by Google Cloud. Alex Reyes takes over for St. Louis here in the bottom of the 7th with Jake Cronenworth at the dish. There have been 3 winner-take-all postseason games that have ended 1-0. Ground ball up the middle. The Cardinals were involved last time. Chris Carpenter tossing a shutout to Abdul Roy Halladay in NLDS Game 5 of 2011. Also, it happened that sensational World Series with the Braves and Twins in 1991. Of course, that was Game 7. And Game 7 of the 62 World Series. Yankees beat the Giants 1-0. "27 strikeouts and 19 2/3 for Reyes in the regular season."
One of the top prospects in all of baseball 3 or 4 years ago. He's had some injury problems, but back being healthy right now. I don't think the starting rotation is in his future anymore, but I do believe that they're hoping he can be their closer for the next several years.
Pulled to the right side, picked up by Wong, and the throw goes wide of second base. Cronenworth remoted to third, and the Padres with a huge opportunity in front of them in the 7th.
This throw ends up way wide right. You see Kolten Wong, nice job of getting this spin move, just gets rid of it too quickly. He could have taken an extra second there. I know they're trying to turn the double play, but you want to make sure and get the out first. See this spin move right here, all his momentum taking him to the outfield, and that's exactly where the ball takes him.
Gold Glove winner last year, Kolten Wong, number 2 among second basemen in defensive runs saved this season. Schilt will meet with the entire infield. What is this discussion like, Sut?
Yeah, Tommy, I think what he's talking about right now is I'm okay if we put Tatis Jr. on. I'm okay if we load him up and we bring the infield in. We can't let him score right now. Who do you want to face? We got to get 3 outs. Do you want to face Tatis, Manny, and Hosmer, or do you want to face Manny, Hosmer, and Pham?
They'll put Tatis on.
That was no to the first question.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. I like it a lot. The worst thing in the world is when a manager comes out there and says, hey, you know, you got a base open. Be careful here. What do you mean be careful? This is what managing's all about. Mike Schilt saying it's on me right now, okay? I want to load him up. I think maybe you can get Machado to pop up. Maybe we'll get a ground ball. We'll get a force at home. Maybe you can punch him out. But I like facing those 3 other than the first 3 that included Tatis Jr.
Or maybe the Padres slam their way to the next round. Pair of grand slams for Manny Machado this season. Reyes greets them with triple digits. 7 grand slams in a shortened season for San Diego. It ties a major league record for the most in a team's first 60 games. 2-0.
Jess, you also know, too, that Manny Machado took that personally. You don't want to face him. You want to face me? Oh, okay.
How many times has that happened in his life? Think about it. I mean, he's always been the guy.
Chop to the left side, kick to third, throw home, need a tag, and the ball dropped by Molina. Cronenworth is able to score. Tommy Edman took the force with his feet and took the force out at home.
And this is a good throw. They get the double play. Honestly, I'm amazed that Yadier Molina was even able to field this ball cleanly. He actually ended up dropping it more on the tag. And this is a nice play by Tommy Edman to jump up, know where he's at. The bag's right underneath him, but the throw, because it was down, like I said, Yadier Molina does a nice job at getting to it. If it's a clean throw, they make this double play easily. He missed third base.
Oh, boy.
They don't get anyone out.
And that's why you saw, if you're a lip reader, Edman's reaction after the play. They got nothing.
I'll tell you right now, in my opinion, I'm in that situation, I'm glad he missed the bag, because you know what? You keep the force situation at home. He just made a horrible throw to home plate. All he had to do was hit Molina in the chest. He tags the bag. They might have got the double play at first, but just a terrible throw to home plate.
Cardinals have been so good defensively all season long. Number 1 in defensive efficiency, number 1 in defensive runs saved. And Tommy Edman, the versatile infielder, kept finding out. And the Padres, once again, a momentum team, in danger of blowing this thing wide open. Hosmer with a swing and a miss. You saw what they did in the regular season with the bases loaded. It has never happened for the Padres in the postseason. One of only 5 teams without a grand slam in the postseason. They haven't had that many opportunities in their franchise history.
It just seems like every one of these big games, there always comes down to some defensive play, whether it's a great play that was made to save an inning or a play that opens up the door.
Infield in for St. Louis with the bases loaded again. Hosmer delivered an opposite field double to score a run in the 5th. Backhanded pickup by Molina, and it's a bases loaded walk to Hosmer. San Diego adds to the lead.
This might be the worst inning defensively that the St. Louis Cardinals have had in a long, long time. And not to take anything away from these Padres, just thinking about where would they be without Jake Cronenworth. I mean, this rookie came in, he was the second piece of the Tommy Pham trade. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. If they don't have an expanded roster, you don't even know if he's going to make the team. Hosmer goes down, he plays first, he was terrific. All of a sudden, they need him to play shortstop. He does that. There for a while, he was hitting in the heart of the order. He was up there at the top of the order. And then right now, when you got a close ball game, the next thing you know, he finds a way to get on. And then defensively, the Cardinals fall apart.
2-hit night for Cronenworth. Tommy Pham, the former Cardinal, wanted more playing time when he was in St. Louis trying to fight his way out of the minors. He felt like he was stuck at AAA. During a stretch in the Cardinals franchise history where they missed the postseason a couple years in a row, and he wasn't shy about voicing his displeasure. Looking for his first hit tonight. He looks at a strike. 0-2. Pham went 4 for 5 last night with a double. Tatis, Machado, and Hosmer in front of him, and Molina couldn't frame that one.
It's almost the same spot, too, as the strike previous. A little bit lower.
If you're Alex Reyes out there right now, you're thinking, if I'm going to get an out, I'm going to have to strike somebody out.
To second, they're coming home for the force. Molina fires back to second. How many times have you seen a catcher trying to turn a 4-4?
That's the first for me. They want to check it at second base too. He's talking about it was still a force play there.
Yep, that's why I went there. I thought he beat the throw. Take it back, would have been a 4-2-6. Here's the look. There's a force at home.
Well, it's a pause from Hosmer that he actually paused to let the ball travel before him. He looks out at second, and I don't know why DeYoung is even going for the tag.
So 2 down. And Molina turns the 4-2-6 double play. Here's Mitch Moreland. Oh, look at Molina looking at Edman. Slapped his glove looking down with the runner at third. I don't know if Yadi's trying to put on a back pick play and making sure Edman's still paying attention, or if he's trying to pick him up after his mental mistake on the shot to him.
We've seen Molina pick people off and kill innings for a long, long time with these Cardinals. I go back to when Albert Pujols was playing first and how good they were at picking somebody off and in an inning.
Pham sees an opportunity and he takes second. So now first base is open for Moreland, who is 2 for 3. But he's got Myers behind him. And as you said before, Sut, there is no break in this lineup.
I feel like 1 through 9, they're all protected.
Machado at third, Pham at second. Swing and a miss at 97. "20 pitches this frame for Alex Reyes. Molina gives it a look into the seats.
Mike Shildt knows that Alex Reyes is one of the few guys that he didn't have to use out of that bullpen last night in game 2. Had him out there for an out in the 8th inning and another out in the 9th inning, and the victory on game 1. Only 16 pitches needed.
Well, you think about the decision Mike Shildt made to put Tatis on and pitch to Machado, and they got what they wanted, but the Cardinals failed to execute.
It was the right call.
Yeah, it really was. And you just think about how they got there. I mean, it was a horrible throw on the part of Colton Wong. Maybe the best defensive second baseman in the game right now.
Reyes' curveball freezes Moreland, but multiple mistakes for St. Louis defensively in the 7th. They've got 6 outs to go, and they trail by 3. Sports Center next with Kenny Mayne and Michael Eaves. Tim Kirkchin breaks down the NLDS plus live post-game reaction from Game 2 of the NBA Finals. And the Patriots' dilemma defending Patrick Mahomes. Sports Center after MLB right here on ESPN and the ESPN app. That's Patrick Mahomes, not Pat. Sut. We went over this last night. Here's a postseason bracket. Winner of this one gets the Dodgers, who swept the Brewers. Marlins upset the Cubs and swept them in 2 games, and the Braves over the Reds in 2.
How about this note, Tommy? We were all talking about it earlier. We know that when this postseason began, there were 7 teams from the Central Division that made it between the American League and the National League. If the Cardinals lose, all 7 of them are out.
Paul Goldschmidt leads off the 8th. Here's a nugget of hope for St. Louis. They are Hang with me, Cardinals fans. They're 1-65 all time when trailing by 3 or more entering the 8th in the postseason. But that one, David Freese in the 2011 World Series Game 6.
Big one.
Wow, they were down to their last strike.
Goldschmidt to third. Machado. One down.
As unfamiliar as this game has been for manager Jace Tingler, and I would imagine even the longtime pitching coach Larry Rothschild, to try to piece together something like this, getting Pomeranz out there for the 8th and maybe Rosenthal for the 9th, you're in familiar territory now.
Rosenthal would be the interesting one. He struggled last night. He's pitched each of the 2 nights. Pomeranz has also thrown the first 2 games of this series. Dylan Carlson 1 for 3. Cardinals going quietly. 2 down. Yadier Molina has been the fiery leader in the field. Can he make something happen at the plate?
I'll tell you what, that play that he made defensively, though, it blows me away. Yes, you never see a 4-2-6 double play, but the sight that he had from being at home plate and seeing that Hosmer paused, every time you go to first base on that, but he just, so much vision. You'll probably never see a catcher do that again.
And just think about all the information that he's processing at that time, including, not the least of which is his former teammate Tommy Pham and his speed. So you take the play at the plate and you go, where can I get another?
Well, he knew his team too. I mean, they were struggling defensively, and it's Yachty so many times, whether it's a big key hit. I know his team is losing, and that doesn't save the game that you know of at this point, but just look at Yadier Molina, understand Hosmer, and see exactly that pause right there to make that throw, bang, bang play. I mean, so many things are happening on that.
Yeah, Hosmer did nothing wrong. You don't want to get tagged in that situation there.
But he saw him pause. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, he noticed that. I mean, he's got to catch that ball. There's so many runners, things that are happening. Recognized it immediately. Bang, bang. Double play.
2-out walk to Molina. Sheds the armor. He'll take first, and Paul DeJong comes up looking for his first hit of the game. Pedro Gomez.
Here's an interesting thing. The Padres have not won a postseason series since 1998. And there's always celebrations, champagne, beer, things like that. Well, guess what? If they win or if the Cardinals come back, neither will take place tonight. And that's because the Tampa Bay Rays get the Padres clubhouse tonight. They're going to start moving equipment in. And on the other side, the Yankees will start moving their equipment in to the visitors' dugout. So therefore, that part of the equation is out. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, you'd have to have a quick carpet cleaner to come in and get ready to turn it over that fast if you're going to have champagne-soaked rugs. Nola visits Pomeranz with a runner on in a 3-run game.
I tell you what I miss is when the home team wins a game like this and the excitement that you feel from the crowd.
The excitement at Petco last night was outside of the ballpark. Broken bat, flare, diving stop, Tatis! The 3rd out of the 8th comes with a stretch from the young superstar. Jordan could wag the tongue, and now so can Fernando Tatis. MLB app to get in-game video highlights, live pitch-by-pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and much more. Authentic caps, tees, jerseys, hoodies, and more. Get all your postseason gear and cheer on your team at home with the official source, MLBshop.com. Probably selling some Fernando Tatis jerseys as we speak. How impressive was that play, guys? Statistically, off the bat, that had a 97% hit probability, and Tatis took it away.
So impressive. I mean, we are going to be talking about him for the next 100 years. And I know it's so early in the career to start getting into those conversations, but just watch him. Just look at him.
I want Frozen Head Rick Sutcliffe to talk about him for the next 150 years.
Frozen Head.
Tommy Edman retires Will Myers on the pop-up. One play for Tommy Edman's going to be what he's thinking about on the flight home, win or lose for St. Louis.
You just wonder about that. I mean, if he's able to make that play and they're able to get out of that inning with the score still being 1-0, we know that the last couple of nights that Rosenthal's been a little bit shaky in that ninth inning. Who knows what might happen? You still don't know what might happen, but I mean, just really uncharacteristic of Tommy Pham, of the Cardinals defense. To begin with, Colton Wong throwing that ball away, that's just not Cardinal baseball.
Yeah, Tommy Edman at third and Colton Wong at second. Couple big mistakes for St. Louis defensively. That opened the door.
I just think about, to win a baseball game, a lot of times, you've got to outscore your opponent. Well, another way is that if you don't let them score, they don't win. And Tatis Jr. has the ability to do both. You get Larry Rothschild scratching his head, you've done something.
Pulled foul and into the camera well. Credit to Larry Rothschild and this Padres bullpen. They have done an amazing job holding the Cardinals scoreless in this one.
You know what, in my opinion right now, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, Jess and Tom, A.J. Preller has made some great moves, right? There's no doubt. All the things that he's done here, the best move that he made was bringing Austin Nolan over. I have been blown away with how good he is. I don't care if he strikes out there. What he's done with this staff and not being here all year, not having a lot of time to work, he's going to hit. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to hit. But out of everything, you think about Clevenger, you think about Rosenthal. I don't care about Pham and Zach Davies. I think he stole Austin Nola.
And he stole a guy who was only in his second season as a big league catcher. Here's Jake Cronenworth in the 9-hole. And what a job Nola has done behind the plate handling this staff in this one. If we assume we'll see Rosenthal in the 9th, and if they can put together a 9-inning playoff shutout using 9 different pitchers, it would be the most all-time, regular season or postseason. (2-0) to Jake Cronenworth.
Alex Reyes, as that pitch count gets up on him a little bit there. Molina's starting to go to that changeup a little bit more. I don't blame him there. Try to get another ground ball and get out of here.
Instead, it's lifted into center field. Back is Carlson at the fence. Gone! Solo shot, Jake Cronenworth.
Jake Cronenworth has had good at bats. His third hit of the night. He crushes this one. You talked about it, Sut, throughout this lineup. You're like, where's the weakness? Where do you finally get to breathe? This is your 9-hole hitter. This is at the bottom of the lineup. He gets a sinker low and in that he just demolishes. to tack on one more from the Padres.
It continues an impressive trend in this 2020 postseason. Teams that hit more home runs than their opponent would be on the verge of moving to 11-0 in the postseason should the Padres hold on in this one.
I don't know what else you can say about Jake Cronenworth. We saw him take a base hit away from Matt Carpenter, showing a lot of range to his left. We know that he's a natural shortstop. We know that the Padres didn't miss a beat when he played first base when Eric Hosmer was out. And oh yeah, you know what? If they need somebody to pitch the ninth inning, he could do that.
Yeah, we give Tatis a ton of the love defensively, the arm strength that he has, and deservedly so. But Jake Cronenworth, he had a great play already this game. The arm strength, to your point, I mean, I've seen a lot of Padres games where he's just had relays out in the outfield. He turns around and hits 95 on the spot from right center. And as much as I love the home run, you look at the launch angle there, 35 degrees, hard off the bat, 124-foot apex, 407 feet to get out of this stadium. But what I love the most watching Jake Cronenworth at the plate is actually his eye, his way to grind out the singles that we saw, the walks, not just the big hits.
Grisham goes down swinging. Last chance for St. Louis in this winner-take-all Game 3. Cronenworth and the Padres have powered their way to a 4-0 lead. Baseball would like to honor, remember, and thank the frontline heroes who continue to lift up their fellow citizens during the COVID-19 pandemic. Beautiful night in San Diego, looking to celebrate a postseason win against the Cardinals for the first time ever. The Dodgers await in Arlington. Padres with the win here would fly out to Texas tomorrow. Everything else is set. Rays, Yankees, Astros, A's, and Marlins, Braves in the respective division series. Jake Cronenworth is the first Padres hitter to homer in a winner-take-all game in franchise history. And we'll see how important that run is with Matt Carpenter leading off the ninth against Trevor Rosenthal. Rosenthal didn't allow an earned run in 9 regular season appearances. Set.
Yeah, you kind of wonder if, you know, those first couple of games that maybe he wasn't a little bit too amped up. He had difficulty finding the strike zone. He wasn't able to spin any of his secondary pitches for a strike. But you're exactly right. He's been extremely important to them and may continue to be if they're able to nail down this victory tonight.
Pitching for the third time in as many days. Strike 3 called on Carpenter.
After 225 years, you'd think we'd look to our past. Nope. We're looking to our future, where we're innovating every day to raise Jim Beam for 225 years to come.
Base is empty, one down for Dexter Fowler's spot in the order. I just want to take one moment, guys, and talk about this season that the St. Louis Cardinals have been through. Unprecedented in what they went through from a health perspective and then from a scheduling perspective. And Mike Schilt and his coaching staff and the entire staff, whether that be the front office, the training staff, the equipment guys, everybody deserves loads of respect for what they had to navigate this season.
I mean, it was crazy. There were points, I remember talking to members of their staff, players, where, I mean, they could not leave their rooms for days. They'd get food delivered to their door every 4 hours. And they couldn't do nothing but maybe push-ups. I was talking to one player that used literally the door frame of the bathroom door to do pull-ups. We've all been in hotel rooms. We've all traveled. Can you imagine literally not being able to step outside the door for days and days and days? And then when you do, were only able to train 30 minutes at a time, one player each. This is the middle of the season just to get back.
Fowler goes down looking. Used to be 25 guys, 25 cabs, where the Cardinals are closer than that, but they had to take 45 rental cars when they resumed play from St. Louis to Chicago. That's a cannonball run right up I-55.
Their leadership, and it starts with their president, John Mozeliak. I totally agree. They deserve a lot of credit. We mentioned last night, I mean, it would have been easy for the Cardinals at some point just to throw in the towel and give up. But they never did. They found a way by winning on Sunday to get into this series, and they played their hearts out in it.
Austin Dean pinch hitting. Cardinals down to their last out. They have one 4-run comeback all season. That came September 19th against Pittsburgh. First plate appearance in the postseason for Dean.
You know, if you turn your focus to the other side of the field and you think about these Padres winning this series without Lamet, without Clevenger, and looking at the numbers, Manny Machado 2 for 14, you wouldn't have thought it. Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
That would have probably been my first question.
So
what
Jace
did Fernando
Tingler,
Tatis Jr. do?
the first-year manager, now has a chance to lead the Padres against the Dodgers with one more out. Team they finished second to in their own division. Two-one to Dean, and he fouls it off.
You look back at the Padres and you know that the last 4 years they lost 90+ games. You know that this fan base has had to go through 9 straight losing seasons. I know it's not in the ballpark, but I know there's a lot of excitement around this city right now.
Strike three called. Rosenthal mows him down in the ninth, and the Padres will move on. First postseason series win since 1998 when they reached the World Series against the Yankees. They'll advance to take on the #1 seed Dodgers. Jess, it was a lot of fun. The fall frenzy moves on.
Terrific job, Tommy.
Thanks for letting me join you guys today. Game 3s. We get more postseason.
You're always invited, Jessica Mendoza.
Padres celebrate at Petco. They'll move on to Texas to meet up with the Dodgers. There will be some emotion in that one. For the first time, 9 pitchers combine in a 9-inning shutout, and they do it in the postseason. Usually when you get a Johnny Holstaff day, your back is against the wall, but the Padres outpitched the Cardinals, holding St. Louis to just 4 hits in this Game 3 decider.
Yeah, and Tommy, you just think about that. It's not only having to put all of those guys into the game and knowing that any time one of them might blow up, but it's about picking the right time to put the right guy in, and Jace Tingler did that.
Jace Tingler's a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. He said, I got a lot of Patrick Mahomes in my dugout. Well, he's got one. That's Fernando Tatis Jr. He did it with the glove tonight. He did it with the bat this series, and the Padres will flip their way on to the next round. Time for SportsCenter.